right, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us on this wonderful Thursday evening as we are moving into our new permanent spot for Song of Rapture and all the wonderfulness that this game contains. I want to thank you all so much for being here and for showing up, and I hope we can bring you another fun, entertaining episode of this outstanding game. But before we get into that, we have a few announcements. One on my end from the channel to you guys is that we have our first ever sponsor for Lionhead Gaming, and that is Art Sand Coffee, which is a small batch coffee company that does like made to order flavored and non-flavored coffees that don't add any sugar, and is a coffee that I have used before and absolutely love. I wouldn't do sponsorships with things I don't actually use, so I actually have some of my personal favorite flavors right here. Peanut butter cup, which is frickin' delicious. You have traditional stuff like French vanilla, and you have really fun stuff like maple bacon, which is just ridiculously good. And so I normally don't add anything to that coffee. I just drink it straight out of the cup, black, and it tastes outstanding. And you can find out a bit more information with exclamation point art sign from the wonderful bot if he remembers his lines, which he doesn't.
We did it! We're doing it live!
Your stage manager failed. Zazubot was not in place.
Mr. Bot's first time advertising is a little shy.
Aw, Zazu got shy.
Everyone in chat, give Zazubot a little bit of encouragement. Come on.
It's D100, Brendan. Not an S.
I don't know why it is. They're so close to each other. Doesn't help that I got a cat laying on my left arm.
Excuses.
There we go. Yeah, so you can give them a check out at that link right there, and you can use the promo code for a sweet discount. And every purchase supports the artist that drew all of the wonderful, kind of weeby but beautiful labels on the coffee. And it's great. And the coffee tastes great too. And so yeah, there's that. So thanks Art Sand for sponsoring us, and we'll be working with them for the foreseeable future. So try them out, give them a shot. It tastes delicious, and you won't regret it. Other than that, we don't have John with us today. He's still enjoying the Shamrock Isles and all the various pubs that they have to offer. And so we'll be getting him back, I want to say next Tuesday? We have a game? No. Following
22nd.
Yeah, one more.
He'll be back.
One more week without him.
Is he also missing the 17th game? I feel like he might be back for that. We shall see. But yeah, he's still enjoying his little vacay, so he'll be back eventually. But in terms of games, we still have Song of Rapture tonight, obviously. We have The Expanse on the 13th, and then Song of Rapture again on the 17th, and then The Expanse again on the 20th. So everything seems to be moving in, we're kind of getting back to it after the fun and chaos of the holidays. So thanks for sticking with us, and thanks for tuning in tonight. Yeah, I guess all I got in terms of announcements.
I've got a question about this coffee, Jordan.
What's up?
We know, as we've had a sneak peek of it before, that apparently the Plus Ultra coffee that they make is packed full of caffeine. Is everything that they serve just gonna hype you the hell out? Or do they have some more subdued things?
The house blends are pretty subdued. Like their artisan blend is basically regular coffee. I don't believe they have any decaf options though.
It does. The Plus Ultra comes in decaf. I don't know why, but it does.
So you could have either quadruple caffeine or
none.
Nothing in between.
I don't
We're rolling 20s or 1s, motherfucker. That's all we got.
So ultra decaffeinated, it puts you to sleep.
Yeah. It removes any caffeine from your body and destroys it, and then you just pass out. It's amazing. It's amazing technology. But yeah, so you can do decaf of anything, it looks like, just by clicking the simple drop down on their website. Here, I'll show it to you really quick. Hey, check it out. Art saying Ultra Plus Ultra caffeine boost coffee, and so you can somehow click decaf and get decaf extra caffeinated coffee. I feel like you might get an email letting you know that won't be possible, but they have wonderful other blends, and Mel, who works for Starbucks, she's had it, and she absolutely loved it. She loved the cookies and cream and the pumpkin spice that I got her, and then you can get like the 4-ounce sample bags for a pretty good price. You can try out a bunch of different flavors, getting it in whole bean or ground, whatever floats your boat, whatever you want to go with. I know she would recommend whole bean, right?
Always whole bean. It keeps it fresh longer. Buy a coffee bean grinder. Don't be lazy. You'll thank me later.
Or she will hunt you the fuck down.
You can have s'more coffee or strawberry cheesecake, caramel, pumpkin spice, hazelnut. There's so many tasty flavors. Try one today.
I like the pumpkin spice.
Of course
you do. As I sip my pumpkin spice chai.
As he makes pumpkin spice for all of us last episode.
Yeah, he did. To warm us
or at least attempt.
You sicken me.
Oh God, you did.
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm disappointed in you again.
Why were you disappointed in me?
Yeah, motherfuckers. But the art in this coffee is really cute. If anything, even if you're not a coffee person, you'd enjoy the art this artist makes. So maybe follow them.
Great gift for a kid. For
Great gift
coffee.
for that Gen Z kid that keeps doing Fortnite dances.
Yep.
If I'm not wrong, some of the profits from or the proceeds from the coffee also goes to support the artist that designed the art on each bag, and it's a different artist per bag, isn't it?
Just about per bag. There's a few that are from the same artist, but yeah, every purchased bag, the artist that drew the label gets another portion of that profit from them. So, you're helping support the art. You're helping support this, smaller, non-crazy conglomerate, Megadeth Siren Coffee Corporation.
Who only hires just mindless drones that just are just another wheel in the cog, really. They're basically just subhumans, if we're gonna be. Isn't that right, Mel?
Shit, catch me.
Please, no.
Where some of her coworkers are pissed her off and she'll agree with you wholeheartedly. But you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about going down to any store or anything like that. You can just pick up some wonderful Art Stand coffee and have it delivered straight to your door. And you can use promo code LION10 to get a nice little 10% off right there. Boom. Just take it off the top.
I'm sorry, did you say a little 10% off? 10% off is fucking good. Mm-hmm.
Big 10%.
Big meaty. Like this pumpkin spice hamburger.
Why are you having a pumpkin spice hamburger? What is this?
Everything is pumpkin
Peer
spice,
pressure.
thanks to Gregory.
Well, that's all I have to say about that. And I think the bot should be fixed now, so it'll play.
And that was our stream, everybody. Thank everybody for coming on. It was great. I really enjoyed it.
Tonight.
Yay, more Poe. Maybe. Possibly.
No. Sorry, I took the time to enjoy it. But although my hunger has been quenched, there is a hungering question in the mind of our players as they now find themselves approaching what they once thought to be a lake-bound island in the middle of lukewarm water in mid-spring. Now they find themselves facing something that doesn't quite make sense. But that's not my story to tell. Can someone tell me what happened last time on the Song of Rapture? Ooh, silence? Doth thou hear a dice rolling in one's pocket?
Shenanigans.
Ah.
Yeah, basically.
Let's see. No volunteers, alright.
I got it. I'm waiting for the echo to turn off.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah? Yeah, you want the whole recap? Echo? There we go. Nope, okay.
Okay.
You know who you are. Just no attempt. He's like, you know what? Fuck you. Just echo.
Did he boot me out?
No, he booted himself out.
Oh, okay. Okay, so last time on Song of Rapture, we were set sail in the middle of the Heart Basin on this small elvish ship that we had managed to fix up literally overnight. Though we didn't really have anybody to steer the ship. Clyde took his usual spot up in the crow's nest, a place that he was very much used to while he was sailing the seas with his family. Meanwhile, Luna and Samantha were looking for something warm to wear below deck because it was actually really cold. But once Clyde realized that, oh my gosh, we actually relied on him to get to Stroma in one piece, he took a lot of pride in his newfound leadership position and started to steer the boat properly and used his internal compass to guide us towards Stroma. Shenanigans involving things like Gregory taking the water from the lake and boiling it using his new little spice bag so that we could have something warm and almost comforting to sip on while we sat in really shivering air that was now across the lake, despite the fact that we're almost in summer. The flavor did include that it had a nice little spice to it, almost chai-like, a little pumpkinish, something warm and cozy. Don't shake your head at me, Omen. It was warm and cozy. Samantha did learn how to steer the boat, also realizing that if the sun goes down, people are going to have to sleep, and hey, who's going to drive the boat if Clyde is sleeping? In her learning how to steer the boat, she turned it a little too harshly, sending Luna flying out of the crow's nest and into the almost frozen water, where she got to see dead fish just floating about, paying her no mind. A little bizarre, but that was something to take note of. It seemed that the entire lake itself was dead, so we thankfully didn't have to deal with any gray-bitten water beasts, but later that night, we did get attacked by a bunch of gray-bitten giant bats. We took them down pretty easily, and then there was more. And we took them down pretty easily, and then there was more. And then their really giant heavy bodies started to tip the boat towards the water. And then that's when we all realized two things. One, we got to get these giant fucking bat bodies off of this boat. And two, we're making a lot of fucking noise. That's probably why there's more bats coming straight at us. So Samantha, thinking really quick and remembering, even though it was a mistake, she can turn the boat really sharp and it can send things flying off. So she grabs the wheels and tells everybody to brace themselves. And once everyone was in place, she made a really sharp turn, sent all those bodies tumbling off the side of the boat. With the help of Luna and Persephone using their magic, they created loud noises in the distance to keep the bats distracted so that we could get away and continue our journey safely towards Stroma. After about another day's travel, we arrived, not really crashing, but making contact with frozen lake that was surrounding the island. And what we thought was going to be just a flourishing island that was going to be cold and foggy, we come across an island that is encased in its own, almost a literal snow globe, where it was covered in snow and it was nothing but winter in the middle of June. And that's where we left off in Song of Rapture.
Good shit, Mel. Give yourself some DM inspiration.
I has it.
Then you must roll me a d10.
Must.
Uh-huh. One moment. Gotta put something in the document. Okay. As indeed, we find our Valiant 7 approaching the island of Stroma. Its image just barely visible through the fog, but even with their vision somewhat obscured by this hanging liquid moisture in the air, there is an undoubtable strange color to the tree line, to the coast itself, as everything seems to be encased in gray and white. That which becomes very evident, especially by the weather that persists in the air, is cold, frozen. And if not any more an indication, the sound of, well, what appears, or what at least sounds to be, glass breaking around the bow of your ship, looking down and realizing that the outermost layer of this lake is covered in a sheet of ice that is cracking and breaking as you basically plow your way through it. The water still plunging and pushing its way through the strange internal mechanisms of the Heart of Oak. But now we find Valiant 7 something in a strange predicament. With the cold wind still blowing around them and the sounds of the lake still washing and creaking against the wood. Still the sound of glass breaking around, crashing and cracking becomes louder and louder as you continue your approach towards this mysterious island. At first, it's just sort of this annoying sound, ice cracking, sometimes groaning underneath the weight of this mast, but pretty soon, some of you will eventually sort of jolt in your position as the boat will hit a strong point. A bit of resistance in the ice before it continues to crack and break its way through. And it becomes very apparent to Clyde, of all people, although his experience in such things is quite limited, it's obvious. You guys are sailing closer and closer towards thicker ice. It's going to be quite a challenge to, get to the coast in one piece without the ice either stopping you in your tracks or just scratching up the sides of your boat. What do you do?
I look over the side. Does it seem like the ice can be walked on?
Hard to say. When you first began to notice this phenomena, no. It was, again, like thin glass, just shattering and cracking just whenever the waves hit it, whenever the boat pushed up against it. But as you guys make it a little closer, maybe about, about 10 minutes, get a little bit closer, it becomes more evident that this ice is getting tougher. Would it support your weight? Maybe. It might also crack immediately beneath your feet, but there's only one way to tell.
Oh, what am I saying? I dramatically point to Persephone. Persephone, make us walk on water.
Alright, I'm gonna have to just prep that spell. Because that's not what I was planning this morning.
Wait, you didn't
DM, I
prepare-
don't remember. Did we travel, is this our second day, or have we had 2 nights?
This is the middle of your second day. You had one full day of travel, and you guys had relatively calm travel the next day after your encounter with these strange, sickened bats. But now it's about midday. There's enough sunlight to sort of illuminate this through this fog, enough to give you some sort of vision of this island. But yeah, it's pretty evident that by the time you reach this island, it'll be reaching the middle of later in the afternoon. Soon
Were
dark.
we able to rest?
Yeah, after your little skirmish, you guys caught up on your... You're able to get the water off the boat, find yourselves some warm places, and for those of you who need to sleep, you found the rest of your slumber.
Gotcha.
So all of you have your resources back.
You didn't prepare your magic that would allow us to walk on water while we were going to an island.
In the ocean.
We were planning on going straight to the island.
Alright.
If we go far enough to where this thing will stop the boat, I reckon it's probably thick enough to hold us if it can stop the... Right?
Here, Gregory, go try.
Alright. You just tie a rope to him out.
Well, we need to slow the boat down first, and perhaps also adjust our course. Samantha just kind of goes back up to the wheel and starts turning us. I'm assuming the directions just check out north.
Oh, yeah.
West.
West, sure. That's also going to be a disclaimer. I don't know if I've mentioned this before in my games. I try to orient all my maps to be direction-wise. So if you look up what should be north is north, south is south.
Gotcha.
Everyone has keen mind.
It's never just going to be like, oh yeah, this is the map. By the way, this is south.
Unless I say so. Unless I'm like, yeah, you guys don't know which direction's which. Usually it's going to be up is north, down is south. So yeah, northwest, you say.
If we keep going, we gonna get stuck. I mean, if we leave the boat here, ain't it gonna freeze on over?
Clyde, I would think, would be the expert on this. What do you think?
What does Clyde think? Do you think if we leave the boat here for a day that it'll get frozen? Or do you think the ice will remain broken? How cold is it out here?
Let me look at Clyde real quick.
I mean, if it freezes over, I could probably just explode the ice around it.
Couldn't you just explode the ice in front of us, and then we can just sail the boat closer to shore?
True, but that's a lot of power.
It's a lot of
So is
power.
walking on water
No, nowhere near as
and
much.
growing a garden.
If you look, we're miles away from the island. That's miles of ice.
We're probably just gonna have to walk it.
And plus, there'd be a lot of noise too.
I mean, I don't know a lot about ice, but I know that eventually, if this gets thicker and thicker, you're probably going to get stuck. And I don't want to go walking on the ice with my little paws. And neither does Mitty. Although he probably keeps him warm with all that fur.
Don't you wear shoes? Do you not wear shoes?
No! How am I supposed to climb with a pair of boots on? I got claws on my feet.
He's got a point.
Yeah, that is true. I did just buy literally claws to put on my boots because I have to wear boots.
Hi, that's right.
I mean, I'm thinking we might want to pull out of here.
Do you know of some place else? I mean, what do you want to do, Gregory? It's like Samantha just seems to kind of just adjust the course, so we're just still going northwest, but then starts kind of pulling up like the rigging, like how Clyde showed her, to start slowing the boat down.
I mean, we got one of them rowboats that was on the beach. We snagged one.
I didn't.
Yes.
No.
I don't know.
Well, why don't we just set anchor right here and tread lightly? I know that's probably hard for you, Gregory, but tread lightly.
Because we're a good 2-ish miles away from land. And if Gregory falls into the water, I don't know who can get him out.
I can try.
Mostly just worried about being able to get the hell out of here. Even if we do succeed, I mean, I don't really want to get stuck on it.
Oh,
I mean, if we do succeed and it freezes over, we can get back onto the boat, take a rest, and then I could blow the boat up. Not the boat, but the ice, of course.
I mean, I figured, considering the fact that it's, you know, what, 2 days, June 6th, once this obviously unnatural phenomenon clears up, because we've been successful, it might be a day or two, but eventually the ice should melt. It's the middle of summer, or the beginning of summer anyway.
All right.
That's a good point.
Yes.
So you're saying if we go get rid of this thing, well, the ice will be gone and it'll be warm again?
Well, yeah, this is all caused by the gray bite. Or at least
Maybe.
I mean, or like the magic that started. I mean, it makes sense. The gray bitten beast brought this really cold fog over to the Mobian shores, so maybe if it's originating from here, that cold fog is meant to put everything in winter. Plus, they don't like heat or light.
I guess that makes sense.
Or anything that lives.
All right. I don't know. I almost want to suggest we try to get the hell out of here and spend the night, have us walk the shore once Percy's able to do that, so we can anchor out in the water. But you think this ice will go away once we figure this out? And all right.
I mean, how far to shore do you want to be? Because how far does the ice look like it goes off the shore?
Again, hard to say, because there's always the fog sort of invading your vision. You can basically make out the shapes of the island in the distance, but you're trying to make out like pristine details beyond just color and general shapes. It's hard. Give me a perception check with disadvantage. I'll warn you, the DC is going to be pretty high.
I mean,
We've
I
been
have
cracking
0
through it for a
wisdom,
while now.
so I never worry about failing checks that I'm bad at. I only worry about failing checks I'm good at.
Sure. You're looking off into the distance, just trying to discern the ice. Like again, you guys are somewhat getting into the general thick of it, where you're starting to question just if you can even walk on this. Beyond that, you can't really see how deep it goes, but it definitely seems like the water is wider. You can't quite make out the swashing and swishing of water beneath the transparent surface, and you can see a dense layer of frost forming across the top. And almost, if you didn't know it was ice, it almost just looked like frozen ground. About maybe half a mile, a few hundred feet ahead of where you guys are at currently. Hard to really make out the thickness of it, or if it would support your.
Oh, I'm just trying to make out how far away from the island it goes, but there's still fog.
Oh, that's
around
way
us.
too far.
Yeah.
We've been crunching through it for a while.
Well, yeah, let's. I can see bits of land here. It looks like sort of, perhaps a gap in the shadows. I'm not entirely certain. Clyde, maybe you can see better in the crow's nest.
Hi!
Oh, I got two voices.
Uh,
Let's do the other one.
if we're going to, you said you wanted to rest for another night, Gregory.
I mean, unless we have another way, if we had a rowboat, I'd take that. And I don't know why we didn't stick one on the boat.
I guess it just didn't occur to us. I meant to get lanterns and completely forgot about it, honestly.
Yeah, certainly quite a way. I sort of left the town and not in the right mind. I don't know what I was thinking. Look, if we can, if you think we can figure out what's going on and get rid of this ice, then great. It means we don't have to, I guess, swim back out of the ship. I don't know. I don't like the idea of getting the boat stuck. I feel like when we stop moving, that's it.
Well, what I'm thinking is if we're going to sleep on the boat for another night before we start this process, I would ask Persephone, if you had it in you, to sort of try to clear the path as best you could of the fog so I could navigate us in a bit better. And there is an anchor on this thing, right?
Well, if we were gonna rest the night, I meant like go back out of the water. If we anchor right here, we just gonna be just as stuck as we did if we walked in.
While they're talking, I'm gonna try and like peer at the land to see if I see any moving shapes.
Sure. Give me a perception check with disadvantage.
I mean, right now we're a few miles away from the island, Gregory. I don't want to take us out further. That means if we need to go back to the boat, it could be really problematic.
Gazing out upon what you can basically make out to be something of a shoreline, you don't really make out any details of what's on it. Looks like it's probably just ground that leads up into some thick wall of something, probably tree. And the only really movement you can see from this vast distance with the fog impairing your vision looks to be more fog. The wind blowing around you that chills your bones seems to shift its thickness every so often, giving you glimpses of images. That's really the only thing you see moving.
I don't know. How long your magic last, Purse? And let us walk on. I mean, I guess the ice and the water.
About an hour, I think. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it should be about an hour, and if I don't want to use a lot of my own strength, it'll just take 10 minutes for me to cast a spell. We'll essentially do the same thing when we were going on our way into Thistle.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to be dour or, I don't know. This is just uncharted territory, or at least it has become that anyway. And I want to be prepared, and I don't want something to happen to Persephone, and then potentially our only safe refuge is 8 miles away from shore.
So why don't we find a place where the island looks like it's closer to us, and then just walk there?
I mean, we can't really see that well. Unless your magic can clear out a good amount of fog for a while.
Yeah, that's part of why I don't have the walking on water spell, because I've been too busy with whoosh, and I'm just gonna blow wind in front of me.
All right, just immediately these large wings appear on your back again and start pushing.
For wind wall. Because
Oh,
wind
wind
wall.
wall. Oh.
Yeah, it's wind wall. So this one works a little differently, since it's like it says air coming out of the ground. It's actually going to be little silhouettes of fairies rising from the ground. They fly really fast along the line to create that wind.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wonder if you
What
could
in the
put
world?
that- What are you drawing that on?
What do you mean? What am I drawing?
Can you put it out on the deck of the ship?
I'm like on the front of the ship looking off, and I guess we could just zigzag. There, I'm busy with this.
Jesus.
Draven just looks at his drink, and then he looks back up at the fairies and sort of, and then just sort of pours the rest of whatever he was drinking over the side of the.
But what it would be like a general like arc in front of them, just as long as it can be, to help clear up some fog within their immediate view.
We still got what, like miles ahead of us to get to the.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm just voicing a concern. I just didn't really want to get us stuck at a way out. But
Yeah,
if
Persephone.
Luna can break up the ice or so, we need to get the hell out of here. That's good enough for me.
When you make your wall, you know that you need some point for which this wind to magically appear and rise. So it'd probably have to be around the along the angle of the front of your boat. Basically, you have this shell of rising air that just pushes straight up. And thankfully, it's no longer going out and knocking things around or even coming back and blasting you guys. But anything that would cross its path, like maybe some loose debris or if someone's like pouring out a drink in front of it, it would just spray up in the air. But it does seem to make this sort of strange shell that immediately pushes all the fog around you in the front of your ship just directly up as you pass, which sort of helps lift the veil maybe about 60 feet or so in front of you. It doesn't particularly give you any further distance in view considering the direction of this wind, but it does allow the immediate front of your ship to be a bit more visible. You can see what's coming a bit sooner.
All we can see, we want to just head straight in, see how far we can.
Yeah, I mean, the visibility is so poor, and I don't know if you can orient that magic to cut through the fog or something. I doubt it. It looks like as like Samantha just kind of experimentally kind of reaches her hand over like the side of the boat and just feels the air just going straight up towards the sky. It seems this only... Can you make this change direction?
No.
Hey.
It's a wall. It's a literal wall of wind made of fairies.
I mean, can the fairies orient themselves in a different direction?
I could cast it again, but then I would probably run out of magic to, grow the garden that we needed on the actual island. And then I wouldn't have a lot of higher level magic that I could use if we were actually to get attacked. I know the situation isn't ideal, but you're asking me to use a lot of really powerful magic. And if I use all of it trying to grow a garden in the middle of winter and trying to walk on the water and trying to clear the fog, there's not much else I can do to help you guys if we get attacked. We don't know how many of these things are going to come for us.
Are you all right then? You just used that spell.
Yeah, so we can see a little more. I felt that was at least worth it because we're not sure what we want to do because we can't see anything.
All right. Well, what do you want to do, Perse? You want to head on in, or you want to turn back and?
I think we need to head on in. the longer we stay here, we don't know what could be going on. It gives them an opportunity to see us and know that we're trying to come for them as much as it gives us an opportunity to rest and try to replan. We don't have many other options. We're here now.
All right. Keep on going now.
Well, alrighty. If there's no one voicing their concern against such a plan, you continue along your path. Basically still heading northwest. As again, the sound of the ice around your boat cracking, becoming louder and louder, especially as you seem to suddenly hit the stopping point where it's hard to tell if it's the ice itself just giving in to the weight and cracking with these loud thunderous snaps against the boat, or if it's actually doing damage to the siding of the ship, as it just sounds like this terrible tearing and snapping and shattering. You guys continue for basically, let's see, another, for you guys, maybe about half an hour to an hour.
I'm just watching down the side of the ship with the best I can with the wind wall, clearing it up a bit, just trying to watch the wood and see if it starts to splinter and break, then, probably cause for...
Mm-hmm. Yep, you do notice there is something damaging the ship, but not to a severe point. Like you notice on the coast of the Heartwood Basin, the ship's relatively sturdy, and though it did take some considerable damage when it launched itself onto the coast, it was mostly external, save for that one point, that one single spot that got shattered and needed repairing. Here, you can see most of the wood is standing up to this damage. It's being scratched all to hell on the sides, but it's continuing to push through. The only point that really seems to be questionable as you're watching near the front of the ship, where the wind is blowing most of the fog away, is that point of repair, which every so often you'll hear and you'll feel a sudden thud throughout the ship as like another point of ice bumps into it as it continues to carve its way through the frost.
Keep a lookout until something bad happens, or else we just slowly grind to a stop.
Yeah, if I can see the what's the word? If I can see the shoreline at any point as we kind of enter into this, I guess bay would be the right word. I would just kind of try to straighten us out a little bit, and then just kind of slow the boat down, not wanting to damage it because we don't have the time nor the space to repair it.
You end up straightening yourself out. Just about the point when you start to turn, it's a lot harder than it was before because there's no open, soft, flowing water around you. You're basically turning, and every time you pull the wheel, you hear as you're breaking through the ice. And it's about that point where everyone suddenly feels a sudden jolt as your movement continues slow, and again stopped every so often by a big chunk of ice before again. And it seems like the further, at about this point, if you keep going, this thing's going to start smashing and crashing and carving into your ship. It's basically like you're almost lodged in between these two large chunks of ice that are only broken in their place because this large vessel is prying its way between them. Movement is now incredibly slow.
Yep, and I just kind of bring up the sails and have Clyde help me get the anchor down if there is one.
Oh yeah, Clyde at this point, seeing you on the wheel, has gone down, looking for an anchor. Guys didn't really spend too much time looking for it, though Clyde, with his natural knowledge of ships, takes a bit longer than he would hope, considering that usually there's like an anchor hanging on the side of something, you just sort of unhatch it and let it drop, but not one apparent on this ship, until he finds this small latch in the storage in the back, basically close to where one of the water closets is. It seems to be this small lever just on the wall, though there's a definite thin, albeit well-made chain sinking into some compartment within the wall. And he pulls it, and the boat sort of jumps a little bit, and you can hear like almost like a shot as, and then as the ice shatters and a spray of water shoots up from behind the boat as
Who?
There's a moment of stillness as after the strange noise happens, and then you hear as the boat pulls back down and stops moving.
What's that then?
I guess that was... Clyde, what was that?
Oh, I think it was the anchor! It shot through the ice like a fucking spear!
That's weird.
I reckon this is our home until we figure this out or freeze to death.
Yeah, it looks like we're give or take about a mile from... I guess that's a beach? I can't tell. It might just be snow. It might just be ice for another mile after that. I don't really... There's forest. It's hard to see anything.
Well, best we can do is see if we can get there. I'm gonna take out my rope and start tying them up. I guess if you hear me screaming, pull.
Yes, you are the greatest concern. Is there anything you can leave behind that you don't need?
I mean,
Cut your weight.
would you mind? So I pull out a very heavy, large piece of iron of a battery.
That's not a problem. I'm fairly certain, considering everything that I'm carrying, I can drag that to shore.
Alright. Sure, I mean, that's about the heaviest thing I got.
Alright, so what are you guys doing?
I'm gonna climb down the side of the boat. I'm gonna tie my rope to the railing, and then I'm gonna lower myself down. Just climbing down and see if I can stand. Lower myself from the front of the ship.
You put your hands on the side of this ship, Greg. You start pulling yourself down, and oof, this thing has been splashed with icy cold water and blasted by chilling winds. It's like crawling down a wall of ice. Give me an athletics. Oh. Fortunately, as you go down, your hands start to feel numb as this thing is just freezing cold and has been exposed to all of the elements. And now, just above the water, when you feel like you're about to lose some strength in your hands, you find some resolve. And you manage to climb to the bottom of the ship without slipping off.
I just sort of take some heavy steps with a good hand on the rope as I walk out a little ways and then just sort of start stomping around a bit just to test the ice.
At this point, it's not so bad. When you first got down to the ice near the ship, it definitely gave a bit of a wobble, considering that most of it had been broken and loosened by the weight of this vessel. But you do find a big, thick, sturdy point that hasn't been terribly cracked or fractured, and you put your relatively heavy weight on it, and it seems to hold.
It seems alright. Getting down is... Need to wrap your hands get whatever cloth or anything we got. This ain't gonna be warm.
Gotcha. As I'm gonna go back below decks and just try to, I guess I could just go to the captain's quarters and just kind of overturn a section of my bag and just start taking stuff out that I don't need. Start taking out like pitons, a hammer, a crowbar, just stuff out of this wonderful 60-pound Dungeoneer's pack that I don't need because I just bought a 12-pound climber's kit. So I'm gonna go ahead and just exchange some weight there.
Sure.
So I'm gonna leave my... Actually, I'll just kind of go back up to the top. Gregory, how many torches do you have?
Just the two.
10.
Do you want to give him your tin then, Persephone?
Yeah, sure.
And Gregory's just at the bottom of the boat, so I can toss him over to him.
Yeah.
Hey, Gregory, catch.
All 10 at a time.
Yeah, like in a pile.
Just a
a
Just like
bundle.
firewood. Whoosh.
12 torches.
Easily enough, Greg able to catch. even if it's one at a time or even as a bundle, as long as she's not just pouring them as a pile. Big hands, and you take up a lot of space. Catch a bundle.
Put on some Uggs and I start climbing down.
You find some nice elven Uggs. Okay.
Just go back to the bottom of the boat and just help people down as they come. Keep the rope steady and.
Okay.
Yeah, I follow after Luna with my I take like the hoof bits of like my little punji cloak and I wrap them around my hand, help me climb down. A little reminiscent of when I traveled in the forest in the middle of winter at one time.
I'm just gonna leave the rope here when we get back. I mean, hopefully the ice is gone by then. We don't have to worry about it. But if not, we can get back.
Okay. Stephanie and Luna. It's incredible. The boat's incredibly cold, but for mostly for you, it's some of the spots are still slick with water that hasn't been frozen yet, and so it's a bit slippery. But with Greg helping you, it's really not too much trouble. You're able to easily pull your way down until Greg's tall enough to basically reach up and take you and help guide you to the ground.
How tall is the boat?
The boat at its highest, currently somewhat submerged in water thanks to its keel design. It's about 15 feet above the surface of the ice.
I don't know. I'm eating.
David just jumping off and just immediately breaking through the ice and sinking.
Hey, I do 0 fall damage. So how am I supposed to break ice if I don't even hit it?
It is true. It is slow fall.
Yeah.
Sorry. Just as Persephone is lowering herself slowly, I jump off over the edge and sort of let myself free fall. A hand sort of gliding. I don't want to say gliding, but sort of grinding against the boat. And as at the, I don't want to say terminal velocity, but just sort of sliding down, and as he starts to get closer to the bottom of the ship, his claws start to outstretch and extend, and starts sort of clawing the boat. Superficial damage, obviously, but, you know, and then just slowly touching the ground.
Clyde, you want to tie the rope to Mitty and lower him down? I'll untie myself and chuck the rope back up to.
Oh no, Mitty should be fine. I've seen him climb up trees before. But
You usually carry him.
no, I saw him climb up a tree. What do you mean you're not good at climbing down? He's climbing down's easy as part. Oh, wait a minute. No, it's not. No, it's not. All right. A rope would be fine.
Yeah, I already tossed it up. Just tie it around the leg and lower him down. I'll get.
Fastens a makeshift harness for Mitty. Mitty looking over the edge, you can see immediately, though he looks accustomed to this sort of area, his ears immediately fold back and he sort of slouches away from the edge before Clyde starts picking him up. All right, Mitty!
Kicks him off the edge.
I spread out
Punch him
so
off.
we're not on like the same patch of ice.
You know what?
I spread out so we're not all on the same patch of ice.
Good thinking.
Did the elevator jump?
As carefully he helps lower Mitty over the edge using the rope to sort of add some leverage and lower him to the ground. Not really accustomed to vertical challenge for a dog. But once he's secured on the ice, thanks to this rope apparatus, he doesn't have to do too much. There isn't too much effort on your part, Greg, or on Clyde's part. And easily enough, Clyde just sort of turns himself around, claws digging into the side of this boat. I'm this way down.
And then I just leave the rope dangling there. Alright, well, I don't really want to test the luck anymore than we have to on this ice, so it's good to get.
We're just shuffling along the ice. Like,
Gingerly walking across the ice on our difficult terrain.
Samantha, you come to the edge of the boat and you see the rest of the party beginning to gingerly move their way across the ice. You see Clyde like taking steps, and every time he puts his foot down on the cold ground, he immediately lifts his foot like extremely high in the air and puts it down, much like a cat.
She takes a moment to actually like affix some of the climbing gear to herself. hoping to get some additional stability on the ice so she doesn't fall on her ass and then fall through it. And then how high off the ice is the boat?
About 15 feet.
Yeah, she'll drift cloak.
Okay, so say what you're doing. I drift cloak.
I drift cloak, you know.
I flame tongue. What?
Flame tongue. You never just flame tongue before?
So are you just like dropping down and elegantly falling to the ice, or are you like gliding to catch up with your party? What are you doing?
Yeah. Seeing that they're already
just dive into the ground.
Yeah, seeing they're already kind of setting off, I'll just go ahead and start backing up the boat and leave them here. Later, suckers. No. I'll just kind of get like a bit of a running start and just kind of jump off the front of the boat and just kind of use the drift cloak to catch up with them a bit. Falling, you know, elegantly and slowly. Hopefully not crashing through the ice.
Sure. Roll me that feat of 46.
$46.
Mm-hmm. That's how her cloak works. Easily enough. This thing's able to catch this wind, the cold breeze that's persisting in this area. And what should have been something of a not too tall, but still a harrowing fall is immediately faltered, and you just sort of elegantly glide, almost skating as your feet touch the top of the ice, and basically able to stop yourself with your allies.
And she just kind of takes a second to adjust the pack, just trying to get used to the weight of this big metal contraption she bought, and then just starts plodding after the rest of them.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and light a torch just for the heat of it.
Oh, yeah. Definitely have prestidigitation running on everything I'm wearing. Everything is warm. Oh, God, please.
Greg, roll me a d20.
Boop.
Yeah. It takes a little bit at first. You're trying to spark this thing, get it started, getting some, using your, what do you call it? Your, tinderbox. To get this thing.
Yeah,
Get this thing to get a good spark. And the first couple strikes, I mean, that's just the way they are. You know, you never get it in just one. And so there's a couple flashes of orange. And that last one, he manages to catch it just right. And for a second, it almost seems like the flame's about to be swallowed up by the wind and the cold. But there's enough of an ember, you struck on such a good spot. It almost consumed the entire, like, peat end of it until it's completely ablaze. As your torch burns normally, although it doesn't. If it wasn't so cold, you would think that with a flame somewhat diminished in this way, it wouldn't give much heat. But in this environment, it's pleasure.
Yeah, it's sort of hard to get a flame. Probably shouldn't let this thing die. I'll keep running through torches as long as we're here. But better make this quick. Anybody else got torches on?
You have all of mine.
Yeah. Wait, no, I don't. Kidding. I don't have an adventurer's pack.
I left my torches in the captain's quarters. I had to cut down on weight.
What about you, Clyde? Well, I've got an adventurer's pack, but I haven't actually put it on my character sheet, so I don't know what the fuck is in.
I left on the ship.
Son of a bitch.
You know, I really don't think you need torches when you can see in the dark. I don't really need to keep warm because I got all this fur. All this meaty.
Oh no, I've got 10 torches apparently. Here they are. I never really checked what was in this backpack before.
You're just talking to yourself, Clyde.
No, he obviously chose the priest pack because it was the coolest looking, and that's what you're stuck with. So take it.
I'm fucking fixing his explorer's pack.
It's cheating. You're cheating.
Cheater.
God, why is it so fucking cold?
Trundle on down. Get to trundling.
Yep, thankfully, it seems like one of your theories is correct. The closer you get to the island, it seems that the ice is getting thicker. And while occasionally along your travel there was maybe a mishap every so often, Greg, with his weight, would put his foot down and suddenly hear a but the crack would be deep underneath the frost, and it doesn't seem like it shifts beneath your feet. Nobody's falling into the icy cold water. So things fine. Eventually you guys reach what looks to be the edge of a coast, although it's really hard to tell. It seems like frost has taken hold of every drop of moisture that persists in the sand. As it almost looks like you're walking onto a bank of snow until your foot presses down to the layer, and you're greeted with it feels like cold, like snow is spilling your boot and surrounding your foot, but it doesn't melt, it doesn't part against your heat. It just persists and remains cold as you sort of pour some out and you realize sand. You've hit the shore. And out before you is just this long stretch of beach before fog takes your vision. And though you may see scraps of wood, looks like something that may have been a rowboat, although now it's, well, probably in pieces. Hard to tell through the fog. There doesn't seem to be an inch of movement or a spot of life higher.
All right. Well, where to?
Well, this book that I took from that guy that we don't remember apparently is supposed to give me answers to questions, and I asked him where the source was, and it told me on the island in Mist Mist there's a hole which will find a seed. I guess from Elder Times. So we need to find someplace where a hole would be. And the seed? I don't... It's probably not completely literal, but that's kind of all I got.
Can you ask it if it was being literal?
From what that guy told me, it's not being literal. It talks in riddles.
Well, you got that from the doctor.
No, the person that Gregory gave his horse to, and you gave your wineskin to, apparently.
No, one of you stole my wineskin. I remember this. Okay, all right, whatever. I don't know where it is we should go to start with.
Maybe in the mountains towards the west.
Yeah, wasn't that where the girl disappeared to anyway? Towards the mountains?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I've been thinking. If the girl headed towards the mountains, and that's where the first people that got sick went to, and they didn't come back with the girl, then maybe there's something in there.
Maybe she found whatever seed was there and then set it off.
Maybe Dr. Faust did say that this used to be Elvish territory. There could be some relics, some maybe magical relics that got set off somehow.
Should we do that plant thing if you can?
I look over at the winterscape. Even if I could, I don't think they'd survive.
Yeah, it's a shame they're not, some plant from the northern or southern regions or some sort of anti-undead tundra plant. That would have been convenient. But, alas, maybe next time. Let's see.
So the mountains were just due west of us, right? From where we.
Mm-hmm. And I flipped through my book where I sketched the map. I look around. All right, so if we're about here, right? Big open space, sandy beaches. So yeah, the mountain should be directly west of us.
Kind of peeking over your shoulder. What's this?
A lake of some sort, I guess.
What'd the riddle say?
Paraphrased or verbatim?
Verbatim, if you have it.
If I can remember correctly, on an island amidst the mist, there lies a hole in which one finds a seed from elder time, a mistake once made unkind.
All right, I'd say let's check out the mountains. If that doesn't turn up anything, I'd say let's check out the lake. I'd see the lake as being a whole, right? Makes sense.
True.
But the mountains are
Plan
on the way.
today.
Do you know if there's like a path up them or anything, Persephone? I know you were paying attention to some girl's misadventures here or something.
Mukasa never mentioned a path. I'm trying to remember if I don't remember which direction her village was compared to the mountains. But on the map there is a river that goes straight into them. But that's more towards south from where we are. So if you want, we could start venturing in through the forest towards the southwest until we hit the river and then just follow that north.
Works for me.
All right. You got that, Clyde?
Hey! I just got to go southwest. Easy.
I don't remember you having such a luxurious beard. All right, come on, let's go.
He's a cat. He has hair everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Dragonborn eyebrows.
So treading off that direction. As soon as I hit the tree line, I am gonna try to be snatching up branches and shit that are obviously probably frozen over, but just trying to thaw them out next to the torch, and I'm just trying to make a gigantic torch as I walk. So I think if I can just get more and more branches and just shiv them together and just light them and just keep adding it to it as we walk, so I can get a big old bundle of sticks and stuff burning in front of me just for like a mobile campfire base. It'll burn real quick, but just trying to keep it alight as best I can.
I agree, tough way.
Yeah, he
Yep,
says that's
and-
perfectly all right. You
yep,
can totally
mhm.
do that.
That works. Yep. Nothing goes wrong. Well, Persephone's gonna try. She's gonna start handing the sprigs of moly to everyone.
You know, just in case something comes close. They don't like this moly, so I think it makes better sense if each of us have a sprig instead of me carrying all of them.
Alright.
Makes sense.
Samantha fixes it with one of her infinite black handkerchiefs, just in a sort of choker around her neck.
Greg, as you're sort of forming your makeshift carry-around campfire, it's a bit of a challenge. You're pulling like sticks and pieces of thin driftwood out of this frozen sand, and the air is already thick with a fog. Everything seems to be in a way touched by moisture, and that moisture has been frozen. You can keep them
I
together.
probably would have waited until we like got into the tree line, because
Okay.
I'm not digging in the sand or something. I'm just as start to walk through the woods, I just start breaking shit off of trees and stuff that we're passing by and trying to burn it.
Okay. So as you're passing through this coast, it seems to stretch on for quite some time. Thankfully, due to Clyde's internal compass, able to basically keep every cardinal direction in line as long as there's no magic impairing his senses. And with Persephone's loosely drawn map guiding around this island, you're able to find yourselves eventually approaching the edge of this tree line. But again, along your journey, there's really no signs of life around you, just save for mounds of sand that seem to jut out with all sorts of strange objects within them. It just looks like debris, possibly other ships, maybe things that just washed ashore. But as you approach the tree line, it becomes sort of strange. The trees look oddly familiar in the way that you've seen on the Mobian end of, the Heart Basin end of the forest, where it looks like the winter has claimed the wood, draining most of the life out of these trees and leaving them gray, twisted, and almost dead. But easily enough, as you enter into this frozen forest, you find a few branches hanging down low enough that you, Greg, could easily take hold of and pull. But they don't take too much strength, as a simple twist of your hand could snap the entire branch off. Again, they're somewhat covered in frost, but with it giving a good shake, getting some of the snow off, and keeping them close to the flames of your torch, which now somewhat begin to dwindle even lower. It seems to dry them off.
I've already had to replace it once.
Seems to already have it caught, gives it enough heat, getting away enough of the moisture so that eventually it will catch fire, and you eventually start to build, over time, this massive bundle of burning brush that basically, acts as about a campfire, giving you guys general good amount of light in this later afternoon. Just all around you, this place is oddly familiar in the way that Elderbark has proven. Some of you may have been expecting creatures jumping out of every corner, screeching out just as they did when they cornered you in the Elderbark, but honestly, the sounds, the wind blowing, occasionally a branch snapping as it seems to give in to this sudden change in the pressure, the wind pushing against it and cracking. But you guys feel almost oddly alone. From something you want to say, Samantha?
No, just that I'm like, fucking snuggled up right to his weird arm fire. Must maintain internal body temperature.
I'm assuming most of us are huddled around my mobile camp.
Oh yeah. Keeping close, not only to the light, but to the warmth. Somewhat fighting against the cold, but again, that flame starts to burn out quickly. Thankfully, you're using your surroundings to your advantage and keeping this flame mostly lit. It's a bit strange at one point, Greg. Probably in the second hour of your travel, you're pushing your way through this dense forest filled with fog. You see what look to be at least maybe rotted parts of the tree, places where some sort of sickness may have taken hold, as you see these mounds of frost and gray matter pressed up against the bark. But as you get closer, you realize it's a person. Just leaning up against the tree, their features twisted and grayed, their skin clinging to their bone, and mats of hair just hanging from their head.
Hell.
As
Is that
flames begin to... Go ahead.
is that a person in the tree?
Well, it looks like. Are they like morphed in the tree, or are they just like hung up in the tree?
At first it looked like they were part of the tree, considering the frost that was battering the bark seemed to make them look like one, and you didn't even notice it until you got close enough with your torchlight. But as you get closer, you can make out the distinct features of a person. It looks like someone who may have been leaning up against the side of it, putting all their weight into it, but their body is so thin and frail, their skin so tight to their bones, and their flesh now grayed from, we can only assume to be the combination of death and persistent cold. It looks like they're just sort of stuck to, they died frozen to the side of the tree. But the heat of your torch, Greg, ever so slightly causes this thing to react. Twitch, and the sound of cracking, as this thing's eyes, very slowly, but then suddenly, surprisingly, the lid's almost ripping off as they get torn open, turning towards you. This thing just...
Eldritch Blast.
Yeah, immediately, a crackling bolt of energy crashes into its head, and you just see scattered pieces of... They don't even look like flesh at this point. It almost looks like black ice that's been shattered by your horrible magic, as this thing is now in pieces, unmoved.
Shit. Even after all that, they moved a little bit. And I guess we can assume anything that died here is like that. Well, that thing was so scrawny and froze over. I don't really know if it was much of a threat to us.
Can't be too sure.
Could have called more.
And it's better to have that thing hopefully put at rest as I kind of like look down at the shards of black ice, and they don't seem to be moving or reacting to heat or anything anymore, right?
No. But you do notice other things as you're looking at the ground. You can see parts of the snow, these large banks that look like, again, just like mounds of white sort of tossle. And again, you hear that crackling sound as you see pulling itself out of the snow, this long withered snout, mostly devoid of flesh, just this long ivory stretch of bone come out. Looks like the head of some beast turning itself out of the snow towards the heat.
Give it a second, Samantha. Give it a second. Them fish. They didn't attack us.
No, but it seems that these things are attracted to life, and with life comes heat. And I
But
think-
that's not what we observe in Dr. Faust's lab.
It'll either
The great
run
big-
off because of the light, or it will ignore us like them fish.
Yeah, or the gray bitten creature, at least Hans didn't like heat. He certainly didn't go towards it.
Look, if it attacks us, be ready to put it down. I think we should learn if everything on this island is going to be coming at us, or if they act like them fish did.
Samantha, don't you have a magic hand that you can use to maybe hold the fireball thing that Gregory made so that we can see the distance and watch?
As my butlered hand shows up and tries to take. Can I have a torch, please? Just kind of like pats at you.
I'll just like rip out a part of it and hand it over to the weird floating hand.
It almost seems
There
to
you
bow
go.
as it takes it, and just kind of starts to float towards the weird bone bear beast thing. That's exactly what it does. Thank you. It just kind of just like gingerly floats over there. I think it's close enough as I kind of try to adjust myself to see if I'm gonna be able to get this my butler hand over to it.
Pull out my battle axe from my belt. And get ready.
You're watching these things, not just this thing. The more as you're calling upon your magic and discussing, Luna especially with her sharpened senses, and Clyde with his ears perked up, so it turns off in the other direction. It looks like along the path, still not too far away, just within the range of your vision. You can see more things moving. A branch on a tree that looks like it's hanging with moss and other debris just sort of slides a little bit until you hear something falls from the branch and hits the snow. As more of these shambling corpses, thin and to be devoid of all life, begin to sort of pull themselves up onto their feet. And the one that you pull this torch to, this animalistic snout breaking through the snowbank, it looks towards the flame, pulling itself up towards it, but the moment it gets like within reaching distance, the thing just opens its mouth, just pulling itself back into the snow. It's all around you. It becomes more and more apparent that this dead forest you now push yourself through, still teeming with some sort of life, almost at every corner. Slow moving, not too keen on the heat of your fire, very much aware of your presence.
Let's just keep going, keep the fire ready, and see if they follow. If they do, we should probably put them down if we can. There's too many of them. Wait, come up with something then.
Kind of call my my little mage butler back over and just have the hand kind of just try to with all 10 pounds of force just try to stick the stick in the ground behind us, hopefully just letting it burn as we kind of just keep walking down the path. And Samantha's gonna just kind of keep glancing over to see if like maybe like the tree zombie like shambles over to it or anything like that. Just like, oh, is anyone going towards it or no, like what the situation is. That's all.
Sure. You guys continue along the path. Samantha, seems like it doesn't exert a lot of force, but the ground is definitely loose enough here with all sorts of overgrowth that you're able to fasten the torch enough on the ground that doesn't fall on itself and spill all its flame away. You guys can continue on, but stopping just soon enough to watch the reaction. And yeah, slowly but surely you see lots of creatures, some beasts, some It's hard to tell if they were beast or man, the way they move, pulling themselves around. They seem quite fixated on this little bead of flaming light now staked into the earth. Although they don't seem to get much closer than about 10 feet to it. Occasionally you hear like the snap of jaws as one of them tries to make a lunge for it, but they don't seem to get any closer. As it starts off as maybe 4, and then about 8, and then about a dozen, as creatures of all size, some the size of men, some just tiny little things, maybe mice or cats or raccoons, things just swarming around this area, perplexed by this heat, wanting to destroy it. But as you guys walk with still the majority of your super torch hanging, you notice that there are other observers.
I'm still building it too, just keeping it going.
Still pulling branches off the trees, making sure that the ones you're pulling aren't going to try and pull you back. Again, you have plenty of observers through this forest with this glowing beacon of light through the fog. Some of them hanging from trees that look like men, but they're too short, too thin, their arms too long, and their mouths full of these beastly teeth. You haven't seen too many of these where you're from, Gregor, but you've heard of them. They're creatures that mimic the shape of men, covered in hair, and usually akin to forested, often thick jungled area. It looks like strange, twisted apes sort of watching you, trying to pull themselves out of their trees, but again, parts of their body frozen to the branch, tearing themselves away to get to the ground. But at the rate you're moving and how slowly they seem to be, or how much rather, they seem to be succumbing to this cold, they don't really seem to be able to.
If we keep going, looks like we keeping pace out of them, but we gonna keep drawing them at us. We got a plan for this. I don't really know if we can get rid of the fire. We gonna freeze to death. I guess we can just hope we get somewhere. Maybe break out of the woods.
Well, the plan is to catch up to the river and then follow it north.
We got a plan of losing our pursuers here, though. 'Cause gonna be a swarm of these things not too after long.
Just keep your super torch going, and then when we think that's a place where we could potentially leave them behind, just leave it behind. And then I don't know, perhaps we can try to use some magic to stave off the cold, and once we're done, you can make another super torch.
Alright. Sure. See how far we can get. Hope these things don't speed up with them moving around.
We'll stop getting afraid. So we have that plant that Persephone gave us, so I think we should be fine.
Yeah, little sprigs of moly.
I might
I'm
keep
sure
them
you-
away. I'm most worried about freezing to death, yeah. I'll be honest.
Well, I have plenty of sources of fire, and I do have 3 things of oil on me as well, so I don't know if you'll freeze to death.
Alright, well, let's give him a go then.
As we're walking through the dead forest, now aware of the life within this dead island, I can't help but wonder, it's like, what exactly happened here? So I let my crystal glow softly, and I hope I can hear a voice from the trees, the grass, anything. Silence.
You did it again.
Oh god, they're all dead.
All you hear, Persephone, wind. It's strange as you... With this magic, you've used it before, you can open yourself up to entities around you. You can... It's almost like inviting people to surround you and speak with them. Things that normally have no voice of their own can suddenly communicate with you. But when you use it now, cold, dead island, that invitation wholesomely rejected. You fill the air with space for them to speak so you can understand them, and there's cold, empty.
With that, I'm going to keep a better eye on what's happening behind us. There's nothing worse than a quiet forest.
Yeah, you're turning around to look, see what's going on behind you. There's those things. You saw them walking, pulling themselves rather out of their surroundings. But after giving some distance to them, and you no longer hear the sounds of them snapping at the fire, you don't see them. The only things you can really hear are the soft sound movement around you, just within your vision. As more of these things, some of them tiny, like mice pulling themselves out of the brush, though they lumber and crawl. Looks like maybe on just like one or two legs. That's the only sort of form of life you can find. Doesn't seem to be happy.
Place is a damn nightmare.
Oh, you can say that again and again and again. God, I hate this.
Well, I'm hoping if we need to rest for the night, my bubble will at least keep the light out, so maybe they wouldn't be attracted to us anymore.
And true enough.
That's for the night.
We need to at least try to get out of these woods by today.
The entire island is practically forest. I mean, there are some spots where it clears, but not around the river, I guess, but not necessarily.
I just meant getting to the riverside.
You would think the village would be somewhere near there, right? Most places of people congregate around bodies of water, but
I mean, unless it's by the coast. That's a ways off from where we headed.
I don't know, I guess we'll see. How much further, Clyde?
Let me see.
Seems like in your travel you guys have made it about yay far. Clyde's keeping an eye on Persephone's makeshift map and using his claw to sort of make markers. Seems like you guys are somewhat halfway through. You've made some good distance, and though these things have pulled themselves in front of you and caught your attention, these undead threats, they haven't really slowed your progress.
Oh shit, I wasn't this zoomed in before. I did not realize that there was actually a path along the river up through the mountains. That's pretty awesome.
I literally said that, Samantha. The river goes up through the mountains.
Yes, but I did not realize you had sketched it so clearly on your map. I didn't see it when you said that. I figured it was just like a sort of...
I take extremely detailed notes. You told him on this.
I hope you're taking pretty good notes right now.
I'm more focused keeping my hands warm, but don't worry, once we rest.
Luna, along your travel, with your senses being the sharpest out of anyone, you're able to see farther through the fog than anyone. So you can see a point where you're not really following a path through these trees, you're just sort of finding openings where your group can march between without being too haggard, thanks to Clyde's leading. But beyond the veil of this fog, you can see a point where it looks like the path you've carved for yourself dip down, and you can see something of a road that you're going to be intersecting going down in southwestern travel. And just beyond the veil of your vision, you can make out shapes sitting still in the middle of this path, and among them, movement. Not particularly slow or haggard, but particularly quick and nimble.
We're about to run into some more people, but it's different. They seem more alive.
Like good alive, or like gray bitten gonna bite our face off alive?
like they're moving faster than the other creatures.
And you make out one definite shape that seems to be sort of lifting itself and lowering itself around these other mounds. Sort of stopping to sort of push itself up against it and then pulling away. Give me a perception check with disadvantage. Peering out, trying to pick up on details. Ooh. With your sharp vision, Luna, this fog is baiting you greatly, but you can make out a few details of this thing moving between what you can now tell to be look like fallen carts of sorts. You see person. Most detail you can make out is around his face. It's thin and gaunt. It's pale-skinned with pointed ears, and really not much hair to speak of. Can't really see any.
You maybe want to put down the super torch.
We gonna try to get around him or something?
I mean, how many do you see, Luna?
You said about 3?
You see lots of shapes large that make up to be wagons, but the only thing that seems to be moving in this fog is this one thing.
So far, I think it's just one, but it could be more.
It would not surprise me if there were more. Does he seem to be normal?
He seems like he's balding, I guess. Kind of like that one creature that we fought when we were getting the horses.
How far away is he?
Just like about the edge of my vision, which is cut short due to the fog.
Yeah, it looks like he's probably about 60, 70 feet off from you guys. You're breaking through the tree line.
I mean, I could make sure, see if he's... I mean, it'd be a godsend if we actually found somebody alive out here. Somebody not... If he was only 60 feet away, I can tell. I just need to get a little bit close.
I mean, you're not going to call out to him, right?
No, I can see.
Oh, okay.
Sort of independent.
To do your
Yeah.
weird, flashy eyes. All right, perfect. That'll work, I guess. Then,
Javen, you mind taking the torch?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh man, I'm just gonna try to sneak a little bit close, but almost basically just right up to where Luna is.
Give me a stealth.
Stealth check.
As before, you guys are sort of just trotting your way through, just pushing your way through this forest, but now trying to be a bit quiet. You're realizing that this dead earth with the plants and roots surrounding you, especially with your heavy steps, Greg, everything kind of makes noise.
Oh yeah. I'm sure as soon as I get away from that fire, my fucking sweat starts to cool, and I'm just starting to shiver. My armor starts to clink. Let's... Disadvantage. Hey, 11.
since I'm following up beside him, should I also give you a stealth check?
Oh yeah. Basically, if you're moving and being quiet.
Yeah. Because like I'm beginning the incantation to just Eldritch Blast this motherfucker once I see him.
If we've got a little path here, just trying to sneak up behind a tree or so. Try to disguise myself a little bit.
Oh,
As you guys are stepping forward. Samantha, you're able to carefully watch your steps enough to where there's nothing really abating you. Like you're seeing where there's maybe like some dead leaves hidden underneath frost, and you step around them, almost slither past these obstacles. Greg, shaking in his boots, takes a step down, and you hear this. And immediately, Luna, you see this head turn, and you can see, you can't make out too many details of the face, but again, gaunt and thin, two pointed ears, and just looks in your direction. and ducks away.
Yeah, turning away, guys.
Oh, what the heck?
You have to walk.
Why didn't he
slow.
tell me it was... Alright, well...
Well, I've learned not to chase after things in dead places, so run away it will.
Hell. Well, I mean, he ain't attacking us. Is it something else up there? What was it doing, Luna?
I don't know, I see wagons, but I don't see any other creatures. Could be searching for bodies, I guess.
Well, let's go take a look, I guess.
As we kind of, I guess, reconvene, not moving quietly again, just kind of plotting, I guess. Samantha would say, to everyone, just be ready, be on the lookout, because it seems like that man, I guess, ran off, and it would not surprise me if he went to go get others. Those things can communicate.
That's what I'm most worried about.
When we get over there, I'll check to see if anybody's watching us, but if they ain't, as soon as we move on quick enough, then maybe we'll lose them. I hate to think that, I don't know, maybe it's better if it was some undead thing. I don't know. Let's go.
Still holding your super torch, Greg, or did you?
Hey, Javen, I'll take back the torch if you want me to.
I got it.
Alright.
You'll need 2 hands for that sword anyways, huh?
Who knows? Just keep it fed. Let me know. I guess I'll help gather stuff for you as we go.
Alright.
Are we going to stop by the carts to check them out?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sure. Guys carefully walk down. You guys see eventually what Luna noticed, that it seems like the stretch of land you've been walking along suddenly dips down about 5-6 feet or so in a steep decline until you reach something of a road, though it looks like north to south. It looks like it's been overgrown at one point. You can see dead grass and roots overtaking it, but looks like cold or some sort of sickness come in and killed it all, flattening out. Would have made for a nice road if it wasn't in such a terrible place. And eventually you descend upon, looks like a pair of disheveled wagons, their wheels broken off, each one covered in a layer of frost, and all around them you see boxes. Boxes that looks like they were filled with hay that, again, are also covered in frost and snow. Little bits of pieces inside, sort of lodged between. You can see it looks like the remnants of some sort of food they may have been storing and sending off. Maybe trading from one point in the island to another. But it looks like most of it has been picked clean. You see like pieces of leather. It looks like things that would be used to strip and carve into clothing or armor of sorts. But again, you see it looks like bite marks of them, tears, like claws had torn into them. It looks like this is some sort of shipment, but it's all been destroyed.
Clyde, you see the tracks that thing Luna said ran on? Oh, let me look.
Give me a survival check with advantage. As yeah, like
at 23.
as
Is it disadvantage or with advantage?
advantage. You're close enough you can see it, and strangely enough, I mean, it's obvious you do see tracks as soon as you get down here, but with Clyde putting his hunter eye to this, you able to look down, and you notice, Clyde, that there are tracks immediately in the center of this that are very, very fresh. And they follow, it looks like something of a direct path away from you guys towards one at the southern end where one of these wagons is. And strangely enough, Clyde, you see impressions of what look like boots and walking in quick but even pace. And they seem to stop right next to this wagon.
They like disappear next to the wagon?
It just looks like there's footprints that lead next to the wagon, and then it looks like they maybe turnabout face, and then they're just there. There's no other footprints around it.
Oh, there's some footprints here that just sort of walk right there and then just stop.
Like they just disappeared?
Like
Were
if
they
you
really-
jumped on the wagon or something. Maybe like jumped hopscotch from wagon to wagon.
Watch the trees.
Yeah, Samantha's already looking up. Eldritch Blast kind of just coiling around her scepters, looking for something in the trees. It looks like it's trying to leap down on her again.
The other one jumped on me from the trees.
Yeah, when Javen says that, just fucking eyes flare out, and I'm just head on a swivel for the 6 seconds, just looking all around, doing my fucking predator heat sense all around, see if there's shit about to jump out of. Hell.
Let's see.
60 feet. Unless they're behind total cover.
Starting with Greg. Greg, you immediately look around. You're looking for things, creatures twisted by foul magic. And the wind just starts blasting in your ears as you rely on this sight of yours, Greg. The ability to see evil where it lies and see, in a way, not its true form, but its true essence. But there comes greater aspects to this gift when you call upon its power. It doesn't just affect the eyes, Greg. It affects all of your senses. And the wind that blows in your ears no longer sounds like wind as it ravages away in past your eardrums and just slams like a scream. Sorry, like a scream. As everything around you is twisted, contorted, but mostly desecrated.
Yeah,
It feels like that moment when you saw that twisted bear so long ago, that horrible feeling, that cold that sank inside you when you tried to give it your light, but you're no longer standing next to a bear affected by this evil. You're standing on earth that has been drained of all of its life. It's like you're standing in the mouth of some hungry beast ready to swallow.
Hell. I'm just looking all around, like slowly backing up, probably just running into one of the carts, looking down at the weird footprints that Clyde pointed out that just disappeared, almost expecting there to be like a ghost in its place or something. Memories of that weird fucking night where something was sleeping on the other side of the horse.
Mhm.
Just mind fucking racing, looking all about, just expecting terrible things.
And
The landscape just seems twisted, I guess.
And as you're looking around, you do see things all around you, Greg. Off in the distance, these strange shapes that almost look like shambles, these twisted images you see of terrible creatures with long claws and sharp teeth sort of flash in your mind for a moment as you look off towards the snowbank, looking at these piles of frost clinging to the trees, and then they fade the moment your vision ends. But Greg, when you turn around, bumping into this wagon, you hear something shuffle inside, and as you turn, you see person's head poking out the edge, looking right at you, face pale, ears pointed, eyes bright, staring right at you. Everyone else can see it. What do you do? It looks like this thing just pulls itself over the edge.
I just take one big step back and start to go to draw my sword, drop a little bundle of sticks I've got underneath one of my arms. Shit. Out of the way!
I have two green bolts just pointed at it, and the only thing that's keeping me from just immediately loosing is the fact that Gregory is so close to it. And that just gives her enough time to try to look at this thing's face, see if it's like, ah! If it's like, ah! Then she shoots it. If it's not like that, then she'll hold.
Give me a perception check.
Is it blah facing us?
Yeah, if it's blood facing, if
It's-
it's
it's a- I don't know, it's a momentary-
I'll fucking kill it. I don't care.
It's a reaction. This thing suddenly pulls itself up.
And Gregory's not in the right mind. He just thinks it's a fucking monster.
Yeah, at this point, you see this thing pull itself over. You barely see any hair on its head. It's almost like it has none. Pale face, pointed ears, bright blue eyes staring right at Gregory as its mouth opens suddenly. What do you do?
Pulling out my sword, and I'm gonna try to kick it away. As I'm
There it is.
I said
As
what I
this-
was gonna do, and he gave it to me.
As this green bolt launches over your shoulder, Gregory, pounding this thing in the face as it flops over, and you see a pair of boot feet sticking up over the edge of the wagon. And the area sort of rattles with the sound of this Elder's Blast crashing into this creature. From within, you can hear this soft whimper. That was really loud. I'm sorry I made you shoot me in the face. But it's not the only sound you hear.
The hell?
All around, those visions that caught your eye, Greg, pull themselves from the trees. Not slow and lumbering, but quick and armed with teeth.
Well, at least he's not a commoner, so I didn't just instantly kill him. That would have made me feel bad. I mean, me, the player, not me, the Samantha, but, you know.
Me, the Samantha.
Yeah, I mean, you know, what do you expect? You're hiding and you're popping out and you look like a fucking zombie. Like, honestly, you're doing everything in your power to get hit by this truck. That's what you're doing. It's like, I want to ride my motorcycle wearing all black, no reflectors, nothing. I'm gonna just look like a fucking zombie on Zombie Island.
I was 2 seconds away from cutting his head off. I get you.
As it becomes very apparent now, as you're looking over the edge of this wagon, the man was very akin to these creatures you fought before. Very pale skin, his hair almost translucent on his head. But now you can see this almost scorch mark, this blast of energy that's damaged his face, basically covering up one of his eyes, his hand putting up against the bloody wound. And he doesn't look like he's in too much pain, actually, Greg. He just looks really sad.
Who is this Eeyore-looking motherfucker? I'm glad you say he looks really sad.
He looks really sad.
Is Tigger gonna pop out too?
He is what Eeyore would look like if Eeyore wasn't a donkey.
As all around you, you can see these shapes pulling themselves from the frost, but these ones are not frozen to trees. Some of them seem, well, covered in flesh, still able-bodied and ready to bite. Let's see, as I'm gonna need some initiative roll. Some of them appearing quite familiar, their bodies twisted large and bulging with strange, almost impossible muscle, with long writhing tongues pouring from their mouths. A hot puff of steam pours, although maybe it's not steam, it looks almost like mist. Others among them, they seem familiar. You fought creatures like these before, but never quite this turned. Their skin devoid of almost any hair that clings to their body, and you can see these protuberances of like their spine and their bones sticking out, and their mouths just don't seem possible to close as they're filled with these massive teeth. And among them are even stranger kind. You almost think they're like these wolves pulling themselves across the frosted ground, but their shapes are oddly human. Their bodies are dark, the skin almost gray in its color, and sticking out across their flesh, their skeletal form, you see more of these protuberances, but they're sharp and defined. They look like spikes as they walk on all fours like beasts towards you. I gotta roll some initiative rolls. 2.
Poor little man. Shot in the face.
I mean,
Friendly fire.
it's his fault for not
For
saying
looking
something sooner. Yeah, for being all quiet and sneaky. It's totally his fault.
I was afraid he was going to be a commoner. I was going to kick him in the face and kill him.
You're gonna
Nah, I'm
try
not
your
that.
very best to not kill him and still kill him because you're too damn strong.
Oh,
Can
As
you
Samantha-
can't not kill a commoner. You just automatically kill a commoner every time you hit.
Yeah. As Samantha, with your magic drawn, you saw Gregory potentially in trouble. You're already in fight mode, realizing that the thing you hit maybe wasn't one of these things, but regardless, you find yourself surrounded by these creatures. What do you do?
Yeah, realizing I'm surrounded by these creatures and already feeling cold, I just sort of try to call on my own innate ability to protect myself as I just kind of activate my aspect of the serpent as a bonus action. And then my hair of snake's always on the lookout for danger for me, as I'm realizing I just got finished loosing these 2 bolts, and 2 of my snakes realize that there is an actual threat coming, and 2 beams of green light just pour from their mouths like little lasers right at the ghoul duder looking thing. Let me measure out my actual vision. He's the closest, so they'd shoot this one.
Okay.
As an Eldritch Blast with two little Godzilla beams. Take that, and then also that.
Ooh. Yeah, your first one definitely connects, striking it soundly in the chest, but it seems like as it recoils from this blast, the second strike just goes flying away. But you do land a solid blow on this creature. This one, completely devoid of hair, its teeth basically almost pouring out of its mouth as it's running towards you. Give me some damage, baby.
Yeah, the first
very
snake
evidently
just
not
kind of-
alive.
Just kind of shaking its head no at the other snake that horribly missed.
Yeah, but still, even though this one blast struck it true, taking away a chunk of its flesh. As you can see now, its body starts pouring out organs, though it still moves alive. Sure. On its side, it only makes up about 5 feet.
Yeah, she'll just like kind of plant herself on the side of it and like one of the wheels or something and trying to get her bearings on things. Looks like there's more coming up from this way as she kind of points off in that direction. And I think that's it. I think that's all I want to do. Yeah.
Okay, as you can hear, these twisted growling of creatures in the distance, this low boiling as these wolf-like creatures pull themselves from the trees and the shadows. And you can hear among their ranks one of these things with writhing tongues.
Turns on these creatures.
Although this voice only really reaches out to you, Samantha, in this twisted abyssal tongue. For the rest, it just sounds like this low garbling of madness. Yeah, you start running. One of them coming after Clyde. Two. Big ol' chomp. Assume that hit you. I was going for Clyde. This one comes pulling itself out of the snow, and this burst of frost coming out of the shadows of your vision as it just sinks its teeth into his leg. As it does, 12 piercing damage, tries to throw him off balance. Give me a strength save, Clyde. Actually, no, give me a constitution save.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Yeah. Constitution save, because this thing, the teeth sink into your leg as you feel this chilling cold that persists past your own fur within your body as it's reaching up your leg, trying to take away all life within you as you feel your movements start to slow. But can you resist it, Clyde?
Just barely.
The bristles of your fur keeping you warm just enough to stave off this strange chill that runs through your body. As this one down here is coming after you, Persephone, with a chomp.
Ooh. Yeah.
All right, Persephone, you take 11 damage and give me 2 con saves. All right. Ooh. As you feel this thing fighting, you manage to fight this thing off. You're bundled up, you're warm, and you feel this plant giving you, I don't know, something like pulling away from these creatures as you're holding out this moly to resist it. But its teeth find its way true to your flesh, and suddenly something feels off. Something feels wrong inside you. But that's all they...
This isn't good.
Outstanding move.
See, as this creature's turned wounded, it pulls itself away. You can see it actually retreating away from you, Samantha, pulling its chest into pulling some of its own pouring organs from its body into the ground, looking at itself. But after hearing the voice of that larger creature compelling it, turns and starts running to get about here. It's reaching down, just trying to slice a claw down into this wolf who's looking off towards his master being stricken. Let's see. Little claw.
Fuck, how does Midi have so much AC?
Because he's a fucking gifted boy. as this claw comes down, but Minnie's able to just pull himself away quick enough, not allowing himself to be taken by these creatures. Clyde.
Minnie, no! As Clyde is just going to sort of kick down at this fucking thing, as he is just going to pull out his shorty sword. Yes. As you can see a little red dot almost start to appear at the edge of the short sword as it pulses down into this thing as he tries to stab down at it into its face.
Okay. Ooh. That will connect.
11 damage. Stabs down into this thing.
So the hunters marked him?
Yeah. Little red dot.
Little red dot. As you stab down this thing, and it's a bit sad seeing this wolf creature, with more fur on it, almost look like Mitty, but in this twisted form, it's still just a monster. And you put your mark on him, and you stab down to that red dot, striking true as this thing pulls back immediately, seeing this gout of black blood pour from its form before it seems to freeze on its flesh, as you do a considerable amount of damage to the creature.
Yeah. And then there's no bonus action or anything, right? Mitty gets to attack.
Yep, as a reaction.
Gets to see him. Mitty! As Mitty tries to...
Ooh, that'll connect.
13 damage, Mr. Zombie.
How do you want to do this?
Just goes up and just bites down on its leg and just rips sideways as it seems like the groin just starts to split as the leg just gets ripped off like a chicken wing as the thing collapses. Oh, good going, Mitty. Yes, that's Clyde's turn. Don't take as much as you can do.
Alright. Say, dude. Ooh, as from the outskirts of some
What
of
is
your
this?
visions. What?
What is nimble defense?
I don't know, give it a look-see.
You expend half your movement speed on a turn to gain +1. He'll
you
do
going?
that then. He'll
Alright.
expend half his move as he takes up a little dodging stance as you can see him start to jump up and down on top of the little handrails of this cart, trying to dodge this thing the best he can, using his speed to get around it, but still staying within his reach, not wanting to leave Mitty by his lonesome.
Okay.
He moves 15 feet in place.
Yep.
Basically. A little bit of dodgy defense as these other creatures, these thin, almost skeletal beings with spines sticking out of their body, come racing down the path. One of them coming straight down. Let's see. As it gets closer, you can make out, this thing looks like it's just a skeleton with a thin sheet of gray skin stretched over its form. Its teeth, like the wolves, too large to fit in its mouth. Though it looks around, goes after the closest creature. As it tosses up over this deranged, horribly maimed corpse and just starts tearing into you, Mitty.
Mitty, no!
Ooh. Get claw attack. Ooh. But Mitty's still quick on the defense, ripping this thing apart. You see the creature slip on some of the viscera that's spilled out on the ground, not quite yet frozen, as this claw goes wide over Mitty's head. But as it gets close, you see its teeth open up and it tries to sink them into its body.
Oh, that'll get him.
As Mitty, you feel these two long saber-like teeth sink into your body and they pierce and tear at your skin. But strange enough, it's almost like as they burrow in, it's like you're being stabbed with icicles as this immense cold chills your flesh. But that's all that one does. The one down here comes crawling around, making it about, let's see, there. Oh god, nope, stop it, what's going on? About here. As the man still sort of pulling himself up in the wagon, not quite in this creature's vision, comes up to you, Greg. This thing immediately pulls itself up and tries to put a claw directly into your chest through your armor.
Hell. Able to just bat it away with my arm.
And claw comes reaching and trying to catch onto you. It's almost like this thing's trying to crawl on you as it's attacking.
To just kick away at it. Damn thing! The hell away from me!
Body is too light. Able to push it away quite easily. It comes to you, Greg.
seeing person a bad way, seeing this fucking thing, seeing this apparently a live individual right at my feet, and seeing this thing stand right above it. Hell.
He's basically bedded into this wagon.
Yeah. As just the thought of this place, it's all of a sudden just this horrible sign of this entire place just wrong, and then these things springing out all in a moment as just nothing but just adrenaline starts pumping through his veins as just anger, wanting to cut this thing down the best he can, overthrows any sense as he just goes into a rage. The hell off! As he just starts swinging his sword, as not being able to get much strength behind it, as he just sort of swings out best he can to just try to connect with this thing. I'm just normal attack. As the light on my sword starts to gleam ever so slightly.
Okay.
Ooh.
That'll connect.
As I'm pumping in a first level smite, as it seems like connecting with this undead thing. The death in Greg's nose. He wants to sort of burn it away. The holy light. Eh? Go button. There we go.
Oh.
Ooh. 37 damage.
Hot damn. As you connect soundly with this thing's body, and you're expecting it to shatter into pieces, its basically just a skeleton, but the moment your hammer connects with the skin, you can feel your hammer resound slightly. What?
Great sword.
It's a sword.
Oh, you're a sword, that's right. As your sword carves to its side, you can hear this almost like, not clang, but like firm resistance as the edge crashes into something very hard before carving into its form. As you do a considerable amount of damage, and the light burns and seems to help melt away some of its frozen flesh. But it still stands strong.
Damn thing, as I just pull my sword back and try to slash into the same place, feeling that break, having the idea of like broken armor, just trying to cut back into the same wound, trying to cut this thing in half as I am swinging once again, but again, just trying to connect with this thing. It seems like that break halted my blade, and it makes me a little bit worried even in my rage as I cut again. Ooh.
That'll connect too.
And with this thing holding strong, these horrible teeth, and trying to get Persephone the best I can, I'm putting another first level smite into it, baby.
Alright, let's see that damage.
Just 26 this time?
How do you want to kill this thing?
As, like I said, just drawing the sword back and just making the same swing again, just cutting into the side of this as I just cut it straight in half right above the...
Oh yeah, just that second swing carving back into the wound just cleaves clean through it. Its top and lower half just fall to pieces on the ground. It twitches a little bit, but it goes still.
I just catch my breath for half a second, then start looking around and start to rush over to Persephone's side, but I already took enough of myself to defend myself, and I don't have anything left to help. That's my turn.
Alright, Javen, you see some of these creatures descending upon your allies. Some of them even sinking their teeth into their bodies. What do you do? And you're holding a super torch in your hand.
Taking a few steps back and then start running full at this dog thing, and then as I sort of reach my apex, I hold my as I fucking jump kick this guy.
Heck yeah. Yeet! Give me that attack roll.
I'm gonna die if he
Check.
He's running and he's gonna get the drop kick on this. Yeah, that's
Ooh.
He's dying.
Oh yeah, I can tell it's
No,
dying.
he's getting crunchy.
So crunchy.
he's freezing over.
No, Javen.
Everything is dying. There you go.
Alright, that first strike connects as you pound into its body. You can feel again this flesh tight against its well, remains of its muscle, still firm, like almost like marble, but your fists are strong enough to connect and break through that defense, dealing 5 damage. as the wolf reels back, but manages to keep its footing underneath itself. But you can see more of that black blood pouring from its mouth.
And then as I recover, restanding, sort of bring my left foot back and just do front kick at its jaw.
Alright, give me that attack. Yeah, that'll connect. Give me that damage. Ooh, how do you want to do this?
Yep, just launching it, recovering, using the momentum of the jump. Just bringing my leg back and trying to punt its snout off.
That easily enough, basically breaking its jaw with one strike and coming up it again with your other. Its head snout basically twists and breaks as it goes flying off into the woods, as the body goes limp on the ground, leaking out this black, oily blood.
Oh, the dogs are linked.
Oh no!
Ha!
Kill all the dogs.
Easy.
Manipulated the energy that binds all the dogs together, and now
As
all
I
the
use-
dogs on the whole island are
I
dead.
contort the air around and snuff out the candle with my fist from 30 feet away.
Javen killed the alpha dead dog, so it just made all the other ones drop.
Oh, look at
So it
that.
works. It's like a vampire.
Actually,
Werewolf.
That's the
as this
secret
thing
to
is
the
actually still alive.
Aw.
Although the snout does get kicked off its face. As it turns toward you, there's a big gout of blood pouring down its face, no longer having a nose to sniff you out with, but teeth to bite still.
Oh. 2 strikes. And sort of following the momentum of the kick, still not using my hand. Try to bicycle kick him.
Ooh.
For your blow.
Kick the dog.
Lionhead Gaming does not condone kicking of dogs.
No, we
Ooh,
do
both
not.
those dog kicks will connect.
It's a zombie dog. It's evil. 8 damage. 9 damage.
Now how do you want to kill this thing?
There you go. Following up through the momentum of the kick, sort of launching myself up into the air again. Sort of. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What? How is he attacking so fast? Bicycle kicking this dog to death, pounding into the ground.
So you have to make the Liu Kang noise, otherwise it doesn't actually work.
Yep. Okay. Anything else you want to do, Javen? So I got movement on your turn?
And as stand on this dog's dead corpse, I'll hold off that. How about the others? Desire.
Oh god, it's so crunchy!
Oh no.
He freezes over.
As
I
he
die.
spends the rest of his movement, dashing over the icy earth, stepping between the branches of these trees, going around the thick trees, and standing before this vicious creature.
Let's have at it then.
All right, comes back to you, Mitty. One of these creatures snapping down with his jaws at you, sinking these icy fangs into your flesh.
Just gonna rotate around, getting away from the middle of all these things. Minnie has a horrible bite mark on the side of him, as he is going to try to bite up at this motherfucker.
Fight battle.
Actually, he's gonna go help his master as he rotates around and he bites into this fucking other dog that's accosting Clyde.
With advantage.
With advantage. See if he can free his master up.
Ooh, a 20 will connect. And let's see, 11 damage. How do you want to do this, Mitty?
He just bites into his hind leg as he's watching Clyde as he just starts to tear him away, and he just scooting backwards as he just drags this dog with him, and you just see the flesh just starting to tear with him as he just rips the thing's like hindquarters almost completely off its body as he just drags it back towards Samantha and back toward.
Brings you a pleasure.
Good boy!
And that's him?
Alright, Persephone, this thing that just sunk its teeth into your flesh, and that sickening feeling you have, even though it's dead, it just feels like there's like your gut's starting to turn over, and that cold is getting through your cloak, through Punji, and it's spreading throughout you. It's just getting colder and colder. What do you do?
I'm just opening and closing my hands to make sure I can move, and just trying to focus on breathing. And with Javen over there, I can see something on the edge. So with what I can muster, I'm going to cast a little flame spear.
Ooh.
This faint orange, almost feminine silhouette's going to appear right about here on the edge of my vision. And it's going to kind of giggle a little impishly before it bursts out into flames, creating that spear. And yep, still cold. I'm going to direct it over to use my bonus action to ram it into that thing I can barely see, but it's better than nothing.
Hold on a second. This thing is fire.
It is fire.
And you're ramming into which one? Far boy over here?
Yeah, this guy.
This
I didn't see him before, and his shadow scared me.
Yeah, just the silhouette of this creature as the flame appears. You realize it's one of these smaller creatures, but it just seems to be on all fours, sort of watching from a distance. But now as the flame appears and charges toward it, it tries to react and pull itself out of the way. Let's see. Alright. I make a dex save. Ooh, and it was not prepared for this sudden ball of fire to crash into its body. Does it take... As the flame bashes to its body, you can see it pull back. Scorched with white flesh, now scorched black as it looks directly, well, looking at the flame itself as it tries to pull itself away, not quite looking at the person who cast the spell.
I'm gonna try to scooch back closer to Luna and Samantha. Further away from the things. And I believe I make another con save at the end of my turn. I read that right.
No, you're not actually paralyzed.
No.
I'm not.
Nope.
There's
No, if you're paralyzed, you won't be able to do anything.
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
true.
right now. You just get to suffer.
No, I just, okay.
You're just really uncomfortable.
No. Okay. I don't feel too good, Samantha. Alright, it's my turn.
She turns into dust and fades away.
Yeah, we'll get her next year.
Some of these larger creatures begin to move. Cool. Alright, is the one that you charge straight into... The one who charges straight into who charged right into this creature to turn to you, Javen. Its claws outstretched, ready to strike. Second.
Oh, I think we lost Peter.
Yeah.
Rip.
Can be real
Internet.
awkward if this horribly kills him.
Oh my god.
It's okay.
He's gonna get it.
It'll be recorded.
Well, good thing that was GM roll.
He's got his mega torch. He's fine.
Yeah, this creature is not too keen on having Javen too close with this bright light in front of his face as he swings out, trying to catch him, but he sees eyes glint ever so slightly as it swings right over his head.
Mega torch.
But again, it tries to pull away. Getting some distance between himself and this thing. We're pulling back in and just trying to blindly reach in and just chomp him on the throat with his teeth. Ha! Ooh. But it seems like with its blind luck and maybe Javen's overconfidence with this fire in his hand, teeth sink in. Ooh, that's not right. CSX, let's go. That goes up. How do I do that? Okay. Okay. Dealing 16 damage. Take that off the thing. As these teeth sink down, gets into Javen's shoulder, tears and pulls, but not enough to pull him off his feet. See,
Does the claws hit?
Claws are not dead. He's getting fire right in his face. 12. As the other beast, further around the stump, kind of crawling around and looking up, the one who just barked out the orders to the rest of his kind, looks over and sees a catman by himself, sort of skulking around before pouncing on him. 2 claws at you, Clyde.
Kung Fu moves. Ooh, that'll certainly hit.
Oh, but with your jumping around, Clyde, you step on a patch of ice, start to catch yourself and slide, and then a claw connects true, healing, 5 slashing damage. And it seems like, thankfully, with your slip, you managed to catch a blow, but it was quick enough that this thing was able to, this thing was, it only made a shallow cut into your body as you slip and pull out of the way, but you're still gonna need that con save, but thankfully you fight off the cold. But now that you find your footing, Claw's gonna come your way.
Thankfully, dodges out of the way. Quickness against speed.
Alright. Do the rest of his movement. Okay, cool. As it comes to you, Luna, you're seeing your party being accosted by these creatures. Some of them landing hearty blows, others being dispatched quite quickly. What do you do?
Gonna create 2 balls of uncontrollable energy in my hands. I twin cast Chaos Bolt, one at this guy, the other at that guy.
Okay, give me those shots. Yeah, the first one going out, the strange quadruped creature, this skeletal form covered in spikes. You can see this warbling ball of chaos swim through the air, able to expertly guide it around MIDI with your ability to just shape your spells and move them around the most dire of obstacles. And you see it crash into its body, depending on the damage. Let's roll that damage and see how it works. Let's see.
Force damage.
Force damage as this bolt of pure magical force crashes into its body. It seems to withstand the blow for just a moment before suddenly you can hear its skin sort of cracking, and you can see pieces of it falling off as if it were almost like kite. As it lands, dealing 14 damage. The second one going around Clyde, easily enough striking to its body too. This one not quite as well protected and too focused on his prey to really to dodge the blow as, ooh, okay. What kind of damage is this one?
Do thunder.
Thunder, okay, as this bolt of energy strikes into his body, and then boom, this sudden thunderous force blasting its form, dealing a good amount of damage. Anything else you want to do, Luna?
That's it, I'll stay right here.
Alright, keeping your position. Comes back to you, Samantha. You see some of these creatures fall quite quickly, but some of them are descending upon your allies, a bit hardier than the others.
I hear the guttural noises from this dude.
This dude.
Yeah, Samantha just kind of feeling just kind of pissed off being here. She knows she needs to be here. This needs to be done, but she's not happy about it. And just hearing this group be referred to as easy prey, it just kind of pushes her over the edge. You are sorely mistaken, as she'll just Eldritch Blast it twice and say that to it in its in Abyssal back at it.
Okay, give me those strikes. Ooh, both those will connect. Both of them striking to its body. Ooh, as both strikes connect true, blasting into its flesh. You've been close to these creatures, you see how hardy they are, but with the force of your magic powered by your fury, you're able to blast away a lot of its flesh, leaving, like, you see parts of exposed muscle where the magic is torn away and almost disintegrated some of the actual skin around it. This creature pulls itself back up after your attack, looks towards you, almost in a recognizing way to your words. So it just sticks out its tongue, a long drool of black blood pouring along the appendage. As his eyes seem to be now set on you.
I'm seeing him just kind of kind of match eyes with me. Samantha just kind of snarls at him in disgust and utters just a foul curse at him in Abyssal as this black snake just seems to leave her form and wrap itself around him, just like latching onto his neck like his brother did to her, and just draining I guess the only thing that really matters is the strength from him. As I will totally bonus action hex him after the fact because I'm smart.
Got him.
As this snake coils around his neck, the creature coughs at it as coil around him and starts to drain his strength. You can see this bulging other supernatural muscle forming his frail form begin to sink into his body as he becomes thinner. but his eyes still burn as he looks up into you, as he growls himself in Abyssal.
My next meal.
As the wolves are dead. The only creature that seems to remain among these weaker kind is the one who just got buffeted by the fire. And as this bright light burns in his eyes, he pulls his claw over his face and starts to pull himself away. Trying to pull himself away from the fire as best he can, almost brushing himself through this frosted foliage, as if trying to cool his burn wounds. It makes about here. That's a bit as far as he can make it through this rough terrain. Seems to be pulling himself away from you guys. Clyde, you're now being beset by this bleeding, albeit still alive creature. Now Middy's being attacked aside by this strange wolf-like humanoid with spines on his body.
Dodging away as the magic appears around him. He is going to crouch down for a second as you can see the short sword drop from his hand as he is going to push his legs down on the edge of this cart handle, using it as a springboard as he is going to launch himself into the air above this creature as he strings an arrow and fires it directly down into this thing's skull. With disadvantage.
So you're just standing, jumping over it, and then...
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay.
Yep. Flavor, motherfuckers! Fires an arrow straight down into its skull.
Not gonna be able to jump that high, unfortunately. As your standing jump is about half of your strength mod plus 3.
He was on the upturned little cart hand. It's like 3 feet up. He's using his
I'll give that to you. I'll give that to you.
Being an acrobatic boy, I can do an acrobatics check if you want me to.
Sure, give me an acrobatics check. I'm thinking like, if you're on the thing, yeah, it would be possible, but it would take an acrobatic. But fortunately, you're Clyde. And yep, you're able to use this thing as a springboard. Fortunately, these things are not quite rotted all the way, but they're just flexible enough they sort of act actually as a springboard as you bounce up overhead, pull out your bow, and fire at disadvantage, and disadvantage does not matter. Did you notify
15
him?
damage. Yeah, I would. I'm sorry.
As how do you want to kill him?
He flies up overhead, doing a little half flip as he just aims the bow straight down. It sinks right in the top of his head as he lands in the snow behind him, turning and firing. No, he can't fire another shot. As Middy, seeing his master fighting, as Clyde turns and starts to rush back, basically where he came from a little bit, as he's getting back into the fray with Middy. Middy gets an attack. Obviously, Middy attacks before he actually gets that, so he doesn't actually get advantage. But bite boy.
Ooh, a 19 will connect. You feel your teeth
He does
sink
not
into
have
the thing's
advantage.
flesh. Oh, that's true. As your teeth sink into this thing's flesh and bite down, and you can feel it's almost like it's got this hard carapace across its flesh. And as you pull your teeth away, you can feel these tiny little things pulling off its flesh, like scales almost. As it seems like this thing is too well protected by its natural armor. Not connect.
Get away from him! As Clyde just runs up into combat, as he's going to use his feline agility to get enough speed going so that he can use it in all his attempts to defend and try to draw the attention and dodge out of the way of the attacks, as he also uses his nimble defense.
Ooh. Good shit. Clyde using speed to his advantage to protect not only himself, but his allies. That comes down to this creature's turn. This time, no longer just pulling himself at Middy. You can see his teeth now glistening with your wolf's blood, but it's quickly freezing over on his fangs. He turns toward you, Clyde, seeing all this movement, distracting as it is. There's to throw himself forward and basically thrust a claw into your gut.
Oh! God, just too quick.
And seeing that this claw just swings through the air just as it did against Middy, he's going to swing again at you.
Not gonna
Too quick. Claws. This thing's almost like trying to stamp its claw into your body, but too quick, too nimble on your feet.
Middy, get him!
Comes to you, Greg.
Seeing the one creature still alive, surrounded by everyone, and seeing Javen out here by his lonesome. Javen's quick, but Greg thinks he can just catch up with if he goes now, as he is going to start running across the field breaking through the underbrush of this tree and the little limbs, and he's just crashing through them as he is going to come around and just try to cut into this fucking thing the best he can as he is swinging down twice with his great sword. I got you, Javen. They got it on their side. No! Ooh, not advantage, though.
Oh. It seems like this thing is quite quick on its feet as your sword comes swinging down, but as it already had its teeth sinking into Javen's body, it tries to pull away in time, but you see its jaws are already too locked, and by the time it releases its hold on Javen, your sword is connected.
So not crit damage, so just 10. Yeah.
Okay. Carving through its body, you see this gout of black blood spraying across your sword.
46, I rolled a 1, 1, 1, and 2 as I swing again. Oh, yeah.
And that will connect too, as this time that you're closer to this creature, no running, no obstacles to jump over, it's right within the range of your blade.
Cut in again, doing 16.
This one's deeper, as you have more control over the blow, as another gout of blood sprays from its body as you carve through its flesh, almost leaving like an X mark across its white skin.
Trying to interpose myself, but I was just able to get up, catch it off to the side, and that's...
Alright. Javen, this thing just sank its teeth into your shoulder, but as it pulls away, Gregory has come to your side, to your aid, to help push it away from you.
Thanks. Can't really see it. Oh. That's a pretty good number.
meaty chunk.
Meaty chunk. Steven winds up, sort of like griping at the fact that he got bitten, sort of grimacing, but still staying focused, especially after it missed its claws, I assume. But now one was at me or something.
Yeah, it looks like it was attacking with disadvantage because of a big old torch.
Yeah.
Because you're holding it right in his face.
Oh yeah, it doesn't like fire, does it? That's too bad. So I smack it with my feet. Fuck you, I'm not letting go of this torch.
Give it a smack.
Pop. Pop.
As both those will connect as you whoosh, whoosh.
Double high kick.
Big to the fake. Oh, you double high kick, alright.
Yep. Right into its dumb face.
Crashing into its jaw with fists like hammers. Give me that damage.
Hammer feet.
As both feet come crashing to its jaw, you can see it almost actually with that much damage as its tongue comes writhing out at you. You kick it in the jaw and it shuts its jaw, and kick it again on the other side, and it twists its teeth in their interlocked space. And you can see this long pink writhing flesh fall from his mouth and start twitching on the ground before it goes still as you force this thing to bite off its own tongue.
You monster.
No. As try to finish it off as 2 attacks coming right at its I guess head, taking it off with a headhunter Javen now.
Kicking heads off.
Yep. Flurry of blow.
Alright, flurry of blows. Those 2 strikes in. Ooh, that'll connect and that'll connect.
Voice.
As your feet connect, crashing to one side of his jaw and crashing to the other, you hear this terrible crack as its neck gets twisted to one side. It lets out this horrible choking sound as blood pours from its mouth. And though its body hangs limp, it's still barely alive.
So it's still alive.
It's cheating.
Oh, it's still alive, but barely. It's bit off its tongue, its neck is essentially broken, but whatever is keeping these moving corpses, well, moving, is probably keeping it standing on its feet.
It's like nearly headless Nick over there.
But if he wanted to eat you...
Unless I got its tongue. Well, I mean, I can't really see anything else, so sort of pace in place.
Alrighty.
Stop me my turn.
Midi,
Get him, Midi!
going at your side.
15.
As your teeth come sinking down, pressing into this thing's skin, biting, and you feel it giving ever so slightly, but not getting through this hard shell. Again, you pull away, and again, more flakes that seem to be like scales coming off in your mouth, as that will not connect.
As he's just sitting there, just trying to ragdoll the thing's leg, but not really getting its teeth in deep enough to do any real damage. He's just sitting there trying to tear its leg ineffectively.
Okay. As Persephone comes back to you, still feeling cold, but you threw out some fire to the distance, knocking it into one of these creatures, but now you see it pulling away from the bright light.
Oh, it's getting away. But I can't really see it. So I scan and I see, just between Gregory and Javen, I see one of them's on its last legs. Okay. So with a wave of my hand, I'm gonna bash my little fire fairy into this dude.
As your little fire fairy
Yeah, my little ball of fire fairy.
comes flying in and basically catches this thing on the side. Give me that attack spell thingy again. I want to see it again. One more time. Let me just see. Alright, how do you want to kill this thing? As it seems like it didn't have the strength to really resist as this ball of burning fey fire comes crashing up behind it.
Computer kid.
No!
Well, just a little fairy at the center of its fireball orb sort of thing. It's going to dive straight into it, and as it crashes, there's almost like a burst as the fire like consumes it, and as the embers like burn, Javen and Gregory can just kind of hear a very faint like giggling.
Maniacal giggling.
Very,
Burn!
very wonderful, but they can be very creepy. So just a little bit.
So maniacal.
I mean, you did say it was impish.
I did say it was impish. You're right.
You're a demon.
Yep. Do the scan, Gregory. Check her.
I'm just gonna go straight to smiting.
No, yeah.
I think it's already too late.
Summon upon
Gotta be
your
safe.
second level spell slot.
Anything else you want to do, Persephone, as you see this flame consume this creature in the distance?
Shiver in my place. Yeah.
Oh wait, hang on. Moving
That's
it.
your action.
Bonus action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm gonna use my action. I'm gonna thorn whip this bugger.
Okay, you might have to move out of the way because there's currently... Yeah, this thing's standing on all fours, and there's about 5 feet of wagon in front of you. Makes a good cover.
Yeah, it does make some good cover.
I'm just turning into
Wait,
Predator.
Ignore cover.
Yeah, I got some movement.
I mean, Spell Sniper doesn't allow you to ignore line of sight.
Yeah, just move so I can see it and just like.
You shoot like a mortar. You just shoot straight up in the air.
I'm also taller than 5 feet.
Yeah, she's 6 foot tall. As
Like heels. Well, no, I'm wearing Uggs today.
Sage. Yeah, as you see this creature just through the tree line around Clyde, who's bouncing and dodging around, and Mitty, who's pulling on its leg. You think you got an easy shot, and your whip reaches out and crashes into its body. You feel it connect, but those spines, the thorns made of both crystal and plant matter, don't seem to really sink into its flesh, as it seems like this natural armor protecting this creature has deterred your blow, as it does not hit.
That was what, 25 feet? I think
Mhm.
I moved. Yeah, no, I'm gonna go back this way. Next to the cart, where it's safer, and that's my turn.
Okay. These creatures dead. Luna.
I will firebolt that guy. Awesome.
As you're wondering how could Persephone not have... I mean, she's trying to shoot over an obstacle she's barely taller over, but that should be easy. Everyone can do that. As you take your firebolt and when you see Clyde and Mitty pulling on this thing, attacking it, you try to shoot between them. But that's the thing, obstacles that are moving make things much more difficult as the fire strikes into the ground next to it, fizzling the snow, but not hitting the creature.
Will somebody hit this thing?
You know what, Clyde? I think you and Mitty got it. It's okay.
See, I will. Not action search, say action search. Quick cast bolt.
Okay.
Oof.
Ooh, and that one will connect.
This will be the one time that it jumps too.
And he explodes in flame.
All right, 5 or 3. Let's see, that is lightning or fire. Ooh, lightning. All right. This crackling bolt of energy shoots around. This one able to swim itself through the air around your allies and strikes into its body, dealing 9 damage. As this thing finally visibly reacts, and unfortunately, Mitty's quick enough on the draw to pull his teeth out before this electrical energy swims down this thing's flesh and into his own mouth.
That's it.
All right, Samantha.
Even though her hair is trying to track the one that seems to be slinking away, it seems that the one that's nearby is giving the group some trouble in terms of just how hardy it is. So Samantha just kind of shakes her head at the idea of it and to slither her black snake all around it, wrap it on up, anaconda constrictor style, and I don't know, hit strength. All right, and just 2 bolts.
All right, those 2 bolts.
Wait, let me make sure Hex is on. There we go. Yeah, Hex. Take that, and also that.
Voice.
Yeah, both those strikes will connect with your vantage point, and with this thing, maybe the snake seeming to help hold this creature still just long enough. As you see, it's already skeletal form, seems to get thinner, and the cracks in its body form from the strikes seem to grow deeper. You're able to land 2 hardy blows on this creature. Give me that damage.
Ooh.
Plus 10.
31.
As those blows connect, and you can see these cracks in its body begin to form greater, some of its teeth even falling out of its mouth. And it almost hits the ground, although it managed to keep its footing ever so slightly, just its head pulling up in the direction of whatever the hell just bolted it with all that energy. It's still alive.
Easy prey. Alright. Oh no, I wasn't saying it like that. I was fucking spitting it out because that fucker called us easy prey. Fuck him. This is who the fuck he's dealing with. That's why he's dead. Piece of shit. Alright, I'm done.
Samantha, chill.
I'm
Greg
too
and
damn
Javen,
cold. That's the problem.
You can hear off to the west the sound of brush breaking and branches snapping, but it becomes quieter and quieter as something distances itself from you.
I think it's getting away, like actually running away.
Hell.
Ask Clyde. This creature's barely on its feet, but you got Mitty on your side, Luna from the side, casting these strange, chaotic bolts of energy and fire around it, and Samantha with her height advantage that you know very well, casting down her own powers to dismantle this thing's defenses. What do you do?
Without anything to strike out of this thing in close range, he's just going to try to deflect the teeth back and forth with his bow. As the thing bites down on the front of his bow, he just pulls out an arrow real quick and just tries to loose it right into the dude's mouth as Mitty is just still gnawing away at this thing's leg. He's going to shoot an arrow at disadvantage as Mitty bites at him.
All right, give me that disadvantage shot.
As the little red dot appears on the thing's inside the thing's mouth.
Yep.
Right at the end of the... No!
One more time. How do you want to do this?
As Mitty bites also! As the arrow just goes straight into its mouth, out the back of the head, as the leg...
Hold on. Okay. I was gonna say, how do you both want to do this? But yeah, you got it.
There you go. As the arrow goes through its mouth, out the back of its head, as its leg gets torn off by Mitty, as he's basically pulled to the ground, arrow sticking out the back of it.
As from both ends, this creature is torn asunder, similar to the other one. And after a few more moments, as catching your breath, looking around, hearing the sounds of snapping, the wind blowing in your ears, but doesn't seem to be any more of these awful things accosting you.
just run off in that direction, but very obviously don't see anything. I don't see it. I ran up. As I start to calm down. Oh, man, you're all right. Here, have some berries. So he shoves some berries in the fucking
Force feed the dog.
He gets fatter and fatter.
Mitty whines in his strange animalistic tongue that you seem to understand. Please, Clyde, I need meat.
You're gonna eat berries, and you're gonna fucking like it.
All you feed me is puffins.
Oh god, he's forcing his dog into vegetarianism.
Samantha just fucking climbs up here, and there's just two little green orbs in the mouths of two of her snakes, and she's looking down at this thing. Idiot. Are you infected? Are you cursed by this?
I am cursed, but with one affliction. Terrible loneliness that you
Oh
all
fucking
now
god,
share.
shut up.
As he seems to be rubbing his wounded eye.
I'm sorry, Owen.
He makes the best characters. He really does.
He's Eeyore!
Probably not really meant to make everybody burst out into laughter.
No, that's fine. Those are the characters you remember.
This man sits up looking. I'm sorry I made you shoot me in the I understand. Many people had tried before, though not with that sort of magic. Would you like to try again? I won't stop.
Oh my god, I will kill you if you don't stop talking in that manner. Why are you so sad? That's probably a dumb question. Who are you?
So let's
That's
go
actually a
look
pretty good
at
question.
around.
My name is Paley.
Alien?
Rose. I am the last survivor on this island.
Omen. Omen.
What?
You gotta turn up your sensitivity, buddy, if you're gonna be doing that.
There we go. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
I know what's going on.
I heard Perry the Platypus was his name.
My name is Peleus, and I am the sole survivor of this island. Although you now join me, 7 of 8. Not a very humble title, or a happy one.
You the only one left?
As far as I know, I've seen others come upon our shore. They do not last long. Are you going to last long? Have you come here to die?
I hope not. Things afflicting this place, they made it to the shoal on the far side of the east. We came here to try to stop this thing. So you live here, yeah? You know anything about this?
Were you here when it started?
Of course, in my 900 years of long and miserable life, I saw this affliction reach to this island. And the longer he holds his hand on his face, you can see it almost like frost is forming along his hand until he pulls it away, and across his pale skin you can see the marks of that magic that afflicted him are now gone as the wound has just disappeared.
What the hell? Are you a healer of sorts or something? What?
I am simply attuned with magic of nature. Although now you see, all of this nature is in such a miserable state.
Oh my fucking god.
Wait, it's like you Percy, you alright?
No. One of the dogs bit me. It's really cold.
She's going to die.
What? No.
You should wander
you
off
are-
over there. It's colder, though, the southern side of the island. You'll die quicker there.
Wait, hold on. Who all got bit?
I must say, I like this change of dichotomy in our group.
Who's that, Greg? I think Minnie got bit, but I think he's all right. I give him
What?
some baddies.
You're feeling cold, Persephone, at your core. Gregory, the curse has definitely taken hold of her.
She's
As
dead.
you do best, and be
Push her
sure to
off in the
check
cold.
her leg for any teeth.
Yeah, I'm already starting to look, because I was real close when the doctor did surgery. It's like, I think I can do this. I think I can find.
All right, yeah. Let me take a look. Hold on. Yeah, I just close my eyes and I just think of what I'm about to fucking see all around me, and I just try to brace myself the best I can, just sort of squatting down, trying to get Persephone to fill most of my view so I don't look at the ground or the trees or anything else, as when I open my eyes, Shine reemerges as I look at Persephone, trying to find the wound as quickly as I can, not looking at anything else.
Trying to focus on her leg as you tap into your divine senses. And again, it flashes in your eyes. For a moment, your surroundings not picking up in your sight, but in your ears, that wind screams once more. But in your leg, or in her leg rather, you do see that fester beginning to spread, similar to how it was in Midi. This small seed that seems to be growing very gradually across her leg, up legs.
Can I tell, looking at what Samantha's looked like and what Minnie's looked like when he was first bit infected, does it look like there's something more physical, something, I don't know, more concentrated in the wound, or does it just look like it's just blood?
Just with the vision fading, just using your eyes on this thing, it just looks like a terrible bite when that sunk very deep into her flesh, got past the skin and deep into the muscles, close to the bone. If there's anything physical inside, not that you can tell.
I don't know, Purse. Look, I can false out it's in there, but I can false it out. Just let us know if it gets bad again, and
Yeah.
we'll have to look. Like what happens.
And if there's a tooth in there, we can take it out.
Yeah, just hold still. It's gonna hurt. I'm sorry. So I'm gonna reach out my hand, place it on the wound, try to be as ginger as I can, but I know as soon as I start to lay on my hands, I'm gonna
Bundle
instinctively
up some
sort of clench up my hand.
bundle up my punji to bite into him, because these things are attracted by sound. I don't want to make a lot of sound.
As my hand starts to glow, just instinctively it starts to clench and start to slowly squeeze the wound as I put 5 points in to burn away the disease and another 5 points to just heal the wound back up. And you heal for 5, and I use 5 to get rid of disease.
This light pumps into her leg. Again, you feel that resistance at first, that the cold draining the warmth you're putting into her body. And Persephone, it's almost burning hot when that light enters you, that radiance, but immediately you feel a sense of relief. And then that tearing pain in your leg begins to numb ever so slightly, maybe from the cold at first, but then there's that warmth again reaching you. Like when you first enter a hot tub or a burning hot bath, it stings at first, but then becomes soothing. You don't really feel sick anymore, and your leg still sore, but no longer that stinging pain deep in the flesh.
Yeah, that's much better.
Good. Glad. Hell, sorry, I didn't look. No, Miss, I was feeling ill, right? You alright too? Oh, I'm fine. Mitty will be fine in a second. As I bash my dolls together.
So now just send her away in the cold.
Enough
Healed
about
her
that. See the big man there with the great big sword? He can purge this foul curse out of people if caught early enough.
That sounds too good to be true.
Yeah, that's basically the whole deal with us.
You
Alright.
said your magic was attuned with nature? So
Yes.
as the island died, I presume so did your connection with it. And how have you survived this long?
By being a coward. Watching my neighbors and friends and family tear each other apart. Well, I hid. There are perks to being a misanthrope. You see the worst in everyone, so you anticipate. And while everyone else died, I hid away, scavenged for a bit. And of course, there's always comfort, as he seems to reach down to his own pocket and pull out a really strange, somewhat familiar looking orb. Tiny, clinched between the fingers, covered in what looks to be a thin layer of frost. So he just sort of pops it in his mouth as he eats a good berry.
Oh!
Clyde!
What?
Keep it down. We don't want to attract more. Really?
All right.
Really?
Berries.
So have you lived on this island for your full 900 years?
Yes, unfortunately. I was born here to jovial, happy people. But I was not one of them. Oh, I
Have you ever just tried being happy?
Yes.
Wait, so you've been
For
like
real? I've
this.
never tried that before.
You've been like this for 900 years.
It gets dull, I know.
I would have figured you'd have been a lot sadder after everyone died, but even while everyone was alive and everything was fine, you were... Alright, well, that's your problems.
People were quite mean to me, though I did enjoy the company.
I'm sorry. This is all terrible, but you've been hiding out here, right? You got somewhere safe to be. We sort of draw attention. That fire over there.
Yes,
We
you
sort of
should
been
put
being
that-
followed for a while now.
Well, I deleted my little circle. I can't delete the little fire. Oh, man.
Fairy?
Bye.
We got somewhere to hide out. That we should probably get.
I suppose I can take you to my sanctum, although it is not much happier. So,
But as long as it's safe, that's fine by us. We just want to be safe.
All I'm asking for now.
there is but one village on the island of Stroma, and now it is but a husk of its former. Everyone on the island has either died or tried to run away. I'm the only one left, as he just sort of pulls himself out of the cart. And as he's getting out of this broken down chunk of wood, you can sort of make out his attire. It's pretty nice, actually, considering it's elven wear, but it seems like it's been through some rough times. Parts of it patched with looks like animal fur, not always in the best condition. He has a sort of cloak draped around his neck and something of a small cape coming down his back, but everything looks pretty patchwork and pitiful.
Clyde's gonna look back at the one that it seemed like was talking, although he didn't understand. Samantha seemed quite perturbed by him. Just see if there's
Anything, what?
anything on him.
Sure. Give me an investigation check.
I'm sure Clyde's great at those. Perfect.
Yep. You're looking for something, like, you're used to pulling, like, longbows and swords and armor off of creatures, things that are physically, like, easy to see and clearly have value. This thing is just strung up with straps of what look to be, like, hides and maybe the remnants of clothes that its transformation has torn itself out.
Well, he does find his short sword on the ground, so he's gonna pick that up and then realize he's being left behind. Like, oh, come on, matey.
And seems to lead you down the path and away from this scene of carnage.
What do I know about presumably full-blooded elves?
Roll me a straight history.
They're all
Actually, roll
evil.
me a int check.
We were like, screw your proficiency bonus.
Trying to think. I mean, history is like events. Arcana is like magic. There's just people in general. What do we know about elves? You know that let's see. You know that elves have dated back far beyond any human, any creatures in the realm, and honestly, even yourself. But you know that from long ago, there was a single bloodline of elves, those that held themselves in relatively high regard, and as they spread across the world, that blood was twisted and tainted. But there was some other bloodline that persisted with them and changed in its own way. You know, the elves that spend their times in woods become one with nature. They grow a bit shorter in their stature, their skin either the colored of foliage or dirt itself. You know that some elves have been twisted by some sort of darkness and find themselves on the outskirts of society, of the world itself. But there was one other, but maybe it didn't draw your interest at the time. Maybe it had no meaning. Can't really recall much detail about them other than that there was one.
Yeah, especially if they weren't ever like in power as a group, I definitely wouldn't have paid much attention to them.
Oh yeah.
But
You do know that elves are pretty eccentric, though, especially older ones.
Yeah. What I really wanted to know was in your world, how long do elves live?
Elves typically live for about 1,000 years, and it's pretty strange because unless something accosts an elf's life, like a danger presents itself, elves have a very strict lifespan. If an elf is not sickened, is not tampered with, their health isn't hampered in any way, basically.
Yeah, they're harmed.
Yeah, nothing disables them, whatever. They will typically live to about 1,000 years, almost to the dot, and then their health just starts immediately fading, as if this pristine form they've held for centuries just immediately loses all of its strength. So typically about 1,000.
On your 1,000th birthday, you just immediately go like fucking Bilbo with no ring, just immediately.
You might go from you might hit your 1,000th year, maybe give or take a few days, and then the days preceding that, you'll notice that the hair grows white, the skin grows thin like paper, and you're just returning back to where you came from.
Okay.
This man's leading you through the woods quietly, just every once in a while making comments surrounding you guys as you notice maybe another patch of a patch of trees sort of giving way to the semblance of life as something slumped against it, maybe like something looking like it's holding like a broken shaft of an arrow looking up at you. He just looks down at it sort of sadly. Well, you stuck to your tree as you said. Hopefully the cold will claim you, give or take a few days. You guys claim you can purge this illness, but I must say, I have my serious doubt. Sin Khan has held this island for decades, although in recent years, how long, can't even recall, begun to grow out of control. And now we have what we have here. A desolate wasteland of gloom and misery of which I am cursed to live in.
You said only in the last year or a couple months it was getting worse?
The village of Pelkoa has taken defenses against Sin Khan. Only a few spots in times past have the sick creatures made themselves known. They were warded by the Liscus, But times have changed and good things fade. And when the cold crept in, it started killing every plant in sight. And then the creatures and the food of the forest faded, and the plants died, and my friends died.
You said it creeped in. You know where it came from? Did it come from the mountains, where it started getting cold first?
Yeah, like any rumors or any scouts that went on to investigate? I know a girl went missing shortly before some people were sick with it.
That was little Yari. I remember she used taking paths to the mountain. Family, tired, obedient.
Oh god, you're cutting out.
Oh no!
No, these are important. I can't take good notes.
That's just how he talks.
Mm-hmm. Just in and out, just walking away from you, talking to the wind. I recall
I need you to speak louder, please.
little Yari. She would often wander into the mountains when her parents grew tired of her disobedience. It was after some strange event that she did not return. When a great storm blew over Stroma, and the ground shook as if thunder had shaken everything, as if the heavens themselves had fallen. I knew of her path. It was one many children took upon the side of the mountain. It followed the river, and it was often too small for anyone larger than a child. The children hated me so much, telling the adults of their secret. I was just trying to help. And those who came back with what you see here today. Sinka.
You said Sinka?
Khan. That's what Locasta called it. It roughly translates into what we know as Greybite.
Locasta. I thought she was dead.
No, she's in Movia. She's been trying to find a way to fix this, and she's the reason partially that we know about it.
And has she succeeded?
We're on to something. That's why we're here. We've managed to grow some Lysias over there. And we've managed to test its essence against these creatures, and we think we have a way to stop it.
You think? You don't know.
We don't know until we know exactly what caused it. Our solution entirely depends on the source.
We believe some form of magic was used. You said we've been here for 900 years. Do you know of any, I guess, dark magic that was used in the history of Stroma that might have cursed this land?
I've spent many days to months to years alone in my abode. Nobody likes to visit Peleus, and so I stick to my... And in my books, I found some histories of this island, though most are droll and boring, so of course they captured my attention. Stroma used to be an island in the era of ancient, used as a front in the war to come. Giants could not reach Stroma. The lake was too deep. But dragons could find the island. and the elves hated the dragon. I read that there was a place, I do not know where, that the elves made their front in finding ways to overcome the dragons. I suppose if it was anywhere on this island, one might find it in the mountains. If the magic was dark, then I suppose it would link this terrible affliction to the past actions of our ancestors. It is their misery that brings us our misery.
That's a hell of a thing.
Or perhaps this is just the gods' way of cursing me.
You can see Luna is just trying really hard not to strangle him.
I don't think it's personal to you, no.
Just walking behind him, just squishing his head in between your fingers the whole time.
Samantha's just patting you on the shoulder, Luna. It's okay. It's okay.
Thanks for the information.
And when all of
We
this happened-
appreciate it. On the behalf of the entire group.
But you never went to investigate it? Isn't that a little odd if that's kind of like the only thing connecting all of this? The mountains, maybe some way to protect the dragons, and then you're kind of the only survivor. You never bothered to follow the path of the river up north to the mountains?
Didn't you hear what he said? He's a coward. Why would he
I
go
am a
into the
coward.
middle of somewhere's probably monster infested if it's the source of
I
all
would
this?
die.
And he said
As
the
much
only
a
ones
death
that
would
did
be
go
a
there
luxury.
came back with a great bat.
Okay, you can talk over me. It's okay.
What was that?
Oh, I'm
TNC?
sorry.
What was that? As I
You
hit
just-
the back
you-
button.
I pat Haley something. I'm
Okay, they do it to me too. Sometimes I just stop talking and see if they can figure
No,
out
it's
something.
fine. I don't have anything important to say.
He's mumbling a lot. I don't know when he's talking, and he's just sort of mumbling to himself.
If you look at his mouth, you can see his lips moving.
Oh, he's walking in front of us. What am I supposed to do? Like walk backwards in front of?
That's right. You don't have like 6 extra sets of eyes. All right, fine. Just walk in front of me.
None of us do.
Shut up, Jake.
I'm sorry, Paris. What were we gonna say?
Oh, I was simply remarking on how I would love death as a luxury, but I'm too scared to approach it. That is all.
Is that actually what you said?
So we're at.
As Persephone's looking at, does he look? No, wait, lost the question. It's gone. It's gone.
Peleus,
Never mind.
you've been here for however long in this sorry state of yourself, and while we are not certain that we can fix whatever this is, once we figure it out where it is and what it is the problem is, we are certain of one thing, that we are not going to die here. Do you want to stay here?
I don't know. I've lived on this island all my life, and I've hated it. But I fear if I leave it, the lands beyond may be worse. I miss people, but people don't miss me.
And Samantha
I can see why.
just pushes past his fucking Eeyorness and digs deep into herself to tap into that ability to charm and pull into anybody as she just kind of slithers up next to him. Well, you know, if everything pans out here, you could come back to Mobia with us, and, well, I could promise you'd have at least 3 friends, give or take.
He seems like a fine drinking partner.
I don't
Look, we got a
drink
ship.
alcohol.
You'd be bowling well. I'm talking over you, guys. I'm sorry, Paley. Oh,
You
hell.
don't have to
Your
hear
voice
what
is
I'm
Your voice
saying.
is so deep, it just buries him. Well, here, just don't worry about it. Just know the offer stands, alright? You can come with me. I have two very lively individuals, I think. You would perhaps enjoy a different perspective. But how close are we to where it is you hide? I think we might need to rest for a bit.
Not too far. The woods are thick, but as long as you are quiet, these creatures often do not find you. As you see, eventually you break through the edge of this forest and come across something of a clearing where the fog actually thins ever so slightly. You can see now where this fog thins, there's this casting of light in the distance that silhouettes some of the mountain range as you guys have grown closer to the edge of this mountain. And as you look down, as the path slopes down and the trees thin, you see a village. Welcome to my home. The home that belongs to those who live on Stroma, which is now just myself. And you, if you survive this endeavor. I welcome you to stay in my home, but I warn you, we will have to share it with the neighbors. As you come across this quaint-looking village, and every so often you can hear in the distance this as leaning over these pins and fences, you just see these twisted creatures, similar to the ones you've seen strewn about the forest, stuck to trees and undergrowth. But these ones seem to be just covered in frost and walking on their own. Some of them sort of bumping into fences and gnawing on the edges. A few of them on the ground, ripping something apart in pieces. As it seems like inside this village, there are countless walking corpses.
When I said somewhere safe, I didn't,
When you say countless...
Yeah.
You're looking over fences, you're seeing in the distance, you see like, anywhere between...
Cannot count them!
If you had to do a head count, at the very least like 20-some. It's a village, so it's not a very big place, but it's relatively well spread throughout this area. And there's, you can't count them because there's too many buildings in the way. But again, just from your perspective, there's about 20 or so. At least.
Do you think if we were quiet and were to rest up for the night, we could clear this village out in the morning?
I feel like if we cause too much commotion, it'll just draw everything around. Well, I don't know. It's hard to see. Maybe not. I don't know.
Paley
Paley,
just walks ahead.
are you been sleeping at Paley? Oh,
As you see him walking by, and you see one of these creatures pushing against the fence, suddenly stop and turn in his direction, sort of lunge towards him, slowly pulling. And he just looks at it and keeps walking. And eventually, once he makes about 30 feet so past this creature, it stops. So it's looking after him, pulling himself against the fence, and then just stops and goes back to its own business.
Persephone's gonna follow his lead.
As you get close, these creatures look at you and start reaching out. One claw coming towards you, but it doesn't seem to have the mind to pull itself over or the strength to pull itself through the fence. It just sort of reaches towards you, and once you get out of its range for so long, it just sort of stops. Because doing
these people so gone that they like those fish. They don't. Slowly start to follow behind Persephone. I'm not gonna let her walk in there by lonesome.
I just walk after Gregory.
I'm just following the guy who's managed to stay alive while this entire thing ravaged his poor island.
Clyde walks behind Luna. Oh, Luna. What happens if I just, shoot one in the head?
It will probably make a very loud noise and attract everything around us, and then we will throw you to them, and we will let them eat you, and we will move on with our lives.
What if I just kill it, though, real quick, before it can make any noise?
And if you fail, we're going to feed you to them.
Clyde would do it.
Fine.
As you all, one by one, stroll in after this strange, depressed man into this desolate village. Oh, it seems like he's not quite alone, though the rest of the populace seems to be these shambling corpses kept behind fences, some of them even just sort of leaning up against buildings, not really mindful of anything going on around them. You find the one spot of safety on the island of Stroma, if one can even call it that, as that is where we will end today's session, Song of Rapture.
Woo woo!
Yeah.
Zombie Island.
Told you everyone was gonna be dead except for one guy.
And boy, don't you love him?
I love him.
You almost tricked me into killing an innocent man, Nova.
Yep.
That was great.
Giving me terrible fucking nightmare visions and then being like, this dude jumps out at you. And you're like, ah!
Well, I guess I
Oh,
should
look,
react
new
to what
friends!
my character does. I swing through, I smite him, max level smite, I reckless attack, I also GWM, he dies.
And he even apologized for you hitting him.
Yeah, he did.
So you don't have to.
As
you find an ally on the island of Stroma, although he's not quite as enthusiastic as other people you've met. In fact, he seems pretty damn melancholic. If that's even a word.
I await the cold embrace of death. When will it come?
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad it wasn't literally a dragon, because Gregory was expecting him to say, like, and then one of the dragon took roost in the mountains, and I was like, oh, yeah.
I don't know, you're fine.
Era of the Ancients, man. There's a whole history snippet about that.
Oh yeah, timeline when the dragons and the giants warred against one another, and those who lived across the land, like the elves and the dwarves, were sort of caught in the crossfire. Apparently they won the war by teaming up, but before then, there was quite a bit of conflict. But what will you learn about this Greybite, the Sincan as they call it? What exactly does Peleus know about Locasta and her origins in this village? And how will they find the source of Sincan on Stroma? Find out next episode of Song of Rapture, next Thursday.
Indeed, as we'll be coming back next Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern for more Song of Rapture and more exploration of this horrid, frozen-over Isle of Undeath. And then, before that, we'll be dealing with trying to put Ivar's plan into motion. A glorious plan that it is, as we'll see if we can, through subterfuge and perhaps a dramatic confrontation, manage to trick the devil herself. Well, be sure to tune in this Sunday for The Expanse at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern, as we'll be going into that. That's our super cool level 19, super late game, D&D game. Be there. See that. Experience it. Yeah, and then of course we'll have Kingdoms of the South will be making its glorious return on the 22nd, so we still have another week without a game on Tuesday, but we'll be back at it again the week after that. So I want to thank you all so much for being a part of Lionhead Gaming, for hanging out with us tonight and taking a look at what it is Omen had prepared for us. I hope you enjoyed it, hope you enjoyed the combat, hope you enjoyed the roleplay, and I hope to see you next time. Now, don't forget, we are sponsored by an amazing independent small batch coffee company called Artsan Coffee, and you can use the promo code LION10 at artsandcoffee.com to get a sweet discount on that coffee and support the channel. So, thank you so much. That's all I've got for you. And as always, may your dice roll 20s and you always make your saves.
Let it out.